Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth at the old princess. Grandmother, please don't be angry. Anyway, we have a lot of time. The truth will come out eventually. Manager Lu, let me ask you. Since you said that I bribed you with spirit stones, how many spirit stones did I give you? Manager Liu's heart was like a beeping dog. He didn't even receive a single spirit stone. How much should he say now? Manager Lu gritted his teeth, closed his eyes and said, 1,000,000 high-grade spirit stones. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Tiskati, Manager Lu, can you think before you speak? 1,000,000 high-grade spirit stones is enough for you to take the risk of offending Zhang Mama or even eldest aunt. Think carefully, how many spirit stones did I give you? Manager Lu, this was not a joke. How could two people who gave, took and accepted bribes be like this? Manager Lu almost shouted, 10 million. 10 million should be enough, right? You gave me 10 million high-grade spirit stones and then asked me to help you with your work. I feel that since you've already slapped Zhang Mama, she won't hold a grudge against me if I hit her again, so I hit her. After Manager Lu finished shouting, he almost collapsed on the ground. He finally got over it. No matter what, the princess was the mistress of the household. It was better to be punished than to offend the princess. Grandmother, all right, I admit that I gave Manager Lu 10 million high-grade spirit stones. Yun Chujio said with her head lowered. Everyone was in an uproar. Was this Yun Chujio a fool? She actually admitted it. Tiskatihe, as expected, the people from the lower-grade continent were not smart. They were just waiting to be sent to the manor. The people who were sent to the manor could not even compare to the servants in the manor. Not only did they not eat or drink well, they also had to personally plant the spirit fields and raise spirit beasts. It was simply inhuman torture. The old imperial consort was so angry that she trembled slightly. Good. Very good. As expected of the daughter of the Yi family. She hasn't even entered the Cloud King Manor yet and has already bribed the servants of the Cloud King Manor. You men, take her away. I don't want to see her again. Grandmother, I did give Manager Lu 10 million upper-grade spirit stones, but it wasn't to bribe him. I wanted him to help me buy some good cloth, and then use it to make clothes for you and grandfather. Woo, this 10 million spirit stones is already my entire fortune. Now not only am I unable to buy the cloth, I've even been bitten by him. Woo, I know that I'm not well liked by others. Otherwise it wouldn't have been so many years. Grandfather and grandmother also didn't look for me, allowing me to fend for myself. SOB, sob. It's a good thing that I triggered the recording stone by accident. Listen to it for yourself. Hei Xinjiu opened the recording stone while wiping her tears. Zhang Mama's voice came from the stone. Miss Jiu, the princess has instructed us to take you to rest first. We will visit the old prince and the old princess tomorrow morning. Granny, are you sure that this is the princess Adiep? This is naturally the consort's intention. Everyone was stunned. Heavens, even though this Zhang Mama didn't scold the old man or anything like that, she did indeed let this country bumpkin go to rest first. Everyone was shrewd and naturally understood the hidden meaning. Presumably, Consort Yun wanted to trick this little girl, but she didn't expect to be tricked by this little girl. This was going to be interesting. The expression on the old consort's face could be said to be very complicated. At this moment, she completely understood the ins and outs of the matter and coldly glanced at Consort Yun. Consort Yun's hands clenched together under her sleeves. This stinky girl was indeed as difficult to deal with as her slut mother. She had really underestimated her. Consort Yun secretly gritted her teeth and walked up to Zhang Mama, giving her a hard slap on the face. Lowly slave. I usually treat you well, why did you fake my words to frame little ninth girl? What are your intentions? Zhang Mama's teeth had been knocked out by Consort Yun. She knew that Consort Yun had already given up on her, so she could only take the blame. Zhang Mama kept kowtowing. It's all this servant's fault. This servant really can't stand this country bumpkin flaunting his power. She's just a country bumpkin from a low-grade continent. She doesn't have the qualifications to be the miss of the Yun mansion. She might even drag down the reputation of the other young ladies. So this servant took matters into my own hands. This servant accepts the punishment. Consort Yun looked at Yun Chujio with a guilty expression. Little Jiu, it's all because of First Aunt's lax command. First Aunt will apologize to you. Yun Chujio nimbly dodged to the side. First Aunt, you're killing me. What does the mistake of a dog servant have to do with you, First Aunt? It wasn't you who ordered it, right? Consort Yun was so angry that she almost fainted. However, she still smiled and said, "Little Jiu, it's good that you're not angry with First Aunt. First Aunt will definitely make it up to you in the future." Consort Yun emphasized the word make it up. Yun Chujiu naturally knew that she was threatening, but she was never afraid of threats. Moreover, even if she was nice to her, Consort Yun would still harm her. Since that was the case, would she still spoil her for the new year? "Grandmother, since First Aunt has said so, I have nothing more to say. As long as you're not angry with little Gio will be satisfied. After all, being able to be filial to you and grandfather is little Gio's greatest wish." Although Yun Chujio said so, her tears fell one after another. Her small appearance was as pitiful as it could be. Although the old imperial consort did not like her, she still could not bear to see her like this. She said coldly, "Old master, how are you going to deal with these two unruly slaves? Zhang Mama is the main culprit. She framed little Gio. Then send her to the manor. Lu Hua is an accomplice. Remove him from his position as the steward of the carriage department. He will be punished with 100 canes to see the effect." Imperial Consort Yun replied respectfully. Seeing that Consort Yun did not show any favoritism, the old consort nodded slightly and said, "Boss, the Yi family is not in the manor. Little Ninth has just entered the manor. You should pay more attention to her matters in the future." Yun Chujia's heart sank when she heard this. Her mother was not in the manor? Then where was she? Of course she would not ask stupidly. She could see that the old consort obviously did not like her mother very much. It was better to find an opportunity to ask someone else. Consort Yun was naturally full of promises. Then she asked someone to bring Zhang Mama and Manager Lu away. Hei Xinjiu stretched out her little paw. "And wait a moment. Manager Lu took my 10 million upper-grade spiritual stones to buy the cloth. He asked him to return the money to me first before letting him go. Otherwise, if he goes back on his word, I won't have anywhere to cry." Manager Lu finally understood why Yun Chujiu admitted to giving him 10 million upper-grade spiritual stones just now. Damn it, she was trying to take advantage of him empty-handed. He had been cheated again. But what could he do? He was already guilty. If he said that he didn't have any spiritual stones, this black-hearted girl might come up with another way to frame him. He had every reason to believe that since this bad news bag had Zhang Mama's recording stone, it was highly likely that she had his recording stone too. 3200 Chapter 3200 The joy of fighting with others. Manager Lu almost cried as he transferred 10 million upper-grade spirit stones to Yun Chujio. He was just a small manager of the Yun mansion and didn't have much money at all. These spirit stones were all the black-hearted money that his father had received for so many years. And it was only because of his persuasion that he was able to get them. Now it was all given to this black-hearted little girl. When everyone saw that Manager Lu had really transferred 10 million high-grade spiritual stones to Yun Chujio, they felt even more strongly that the money belonged to Yun Chujio. After all, a mere manager like Lu Hua would not have so much money. Yun Chujio felt that the Yun mansion was not bad. They had just arrived on their first day and they had already earned a small sum of money. Moreover, it was a great joy to fight with others. After the servants brought Zhang Mama and Manager Lu away, only then did Consort Yun personally help her introduce the people present. Yun Chujio greeted them obediently and those people nodded with fake smiles. As for those of the same generation, they were all indifferent and some didn't even try to hide the disdain in their eyes. Before Yun Chujio could smooth out the relationship between these people, she heard a servant come in to report. Reporting to the old Royal Highness, the old consort, the Royal Highness, the consort, the Crown Prince is here. When everyone heard this, they hurriedly stood up and prepared to go to the door to welcome him, but they didn't expect a clear voice to come from outside the door. "Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. I'm just sending Shiyu back, so I came in to have a seat." Following the voice, the Crown Prince and Princess Shiyu walked in. They were a handsome man and a beautiful woman, a good pair of lovers. Although there were differences between the ruler and the ministers, the old Royal Highness and the old Royal Consort were both specially conferred by the current emperor with a rank beyond the first grade. Even when they met the emperor, they didn't have to kneel. Thus, after giving in modestly, the Crown Prince only sat on the lower right head. He did not sit on the main seat. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. The maid served tea and pastries. After exchanging some pleasantries, Princess Yun asked gently, "Shiyu, didn't you enter the palace to pay your respects to the Empress? Why did you return to the residence so quickly?" The Empress happened to have other matters to attend to, so His Highness the Crown Prince sent me back. As Princess Shiyu spoke, she stole a glance at the Crown Prince beside her, and a hint of shyness appeared on her face. The Crown Prince smiled at her, and Princess Shiyu lowered her head shyly. When Princess Yun saw this, the depression that she felt from He Xinjie was instantly swept away. As long as Shiyu became the Crown Prince's consort, not to mention this little girl, even the two old geezers above her would have to listen to her. Princess Shiyu seemed to have just remembered and asked, "Mother, when I came in just now, I saw that Zhang Mama was taken away by someone. What happened?" Princess Yun naturally understood her daughter's intention and sighed. "Sigh. Don't mention it. This Zhang Mama framed your little ninth sister in a moment of confusion, so I punished her to go to the manor." Princess 11 Yu frowned slightly. "Oh, so that's how it is. Zhang Mama is usually dutiful, but I didn't expect that she would make a mistake today. Your Highness, the red bean cake that I gave you before was taught to me by Zhang Mama. I didn't expect that." Sigh. Princess 11 Yu's sigh was like 1,000 twists and turns, causing the Crown Prince's heart to clench. He frowned. "Princess Yun, that Zhang Mama didn't do anything wrong. Just punish her. Why must she send her to the manor? Besides, there's really no need to cause trouble in the manor for a person who can't make a name for himself." When the Crown Prince said this, he looked at Yun Chujie with disgust. Everyone naturally understood that when the Crown Prince said can't stand up to the public, he was referring to Yun Chujie and not Zhang Mama. Immediately, they all looked at Yun Chujie with schadenfreude. Everyone thought that Yun Chujie, a little girl, would be extremely embarrassed after hearing the Crown Prince's words. He might even cry out. Who would have thought that the little girl would be standing there with a smile on her lips? It was as if she had not heard anything. Everyone pursed their lips. This country bumpkin probably did not realize that the Crown Prince was talking about her. Otherwise, how could she be so calm? The Crown Prince, Leng Tianche, looked at Yun Chujie with even more disgust. This country bumpkin couldn't even understand his words. Was the imperial tutor's brain damaged? Leng Tianche thought of what his father had once said to him and simply felt that it was extremely laughable. Just as Leng Tianche was thinking about it, Consort Yun Jingshi's words interrupted his thoughts. Your Highness is right. We will do as your Highness orders. Leng Tianche nodded, then looked at Yun Chujie and said sarcastically, Who is she? Why isn't she here to kowtow when she sees me? Everyone looked at Yun Chujie gloatingly. When the Crown Prince came in earlier, everyone had bowed. The Crown Prince was obviously going to punish Yun Chujie and avenge Princess Shiyu. Although according to the etiquette, everyone had to kneel and worship the Crown Prince when they saw him, most of the time these young ladies from the prestigious families would just bow to him. The Crown Prince would not pursue the matter. Pan Dian 0ve1 cm. However, today it was obvious that the Crown Prince was going to take care of Yun Chujie. There would be a good show to watch. Yun Chujie narrowed her eyes. Was this bullshit Crown Prince crazy? Did she provoke him? It seemed that even the Crown Prince was not a good person. Aog was not a good person, and this Crown Prince was even worse. Yun Chujie was naturally unwilling to kneel and worship. What right did a bullshit Crown Prince have to make her kneel and worship? However, if she did not kneel and worship, this Crown Prince would definitely punish her. He still had many things to do. She could not lose her little life just like that. Leng Tianche saw that Yun Chujie did not move for a long time, and his face immediately darkened. What? You actually dare to disobey my orders? Or do you not take me seriously at all? Princess Shiyu's face revealed a worried expression. She gently advised, Your Highness, little sister Jiu is new here. She did not deliberately ignore your Highness' words. Maybe she did not react in time. Little sister Jiu, didn't you hear what your Highness said? Hurry up and come over. Don't make your Highness angry. Yun Chujie rolled her eyes in her heart. As expected of a white lotus flower. It looked like she was pleading for her, but in fact she was adding fuel to the fire. Sure enough, when Leng Tianche heard Princess Shiyu's words, his face became even gloomier. He stared at Yun Chujie fiercely. The old imperial consort was afraid that Leng Tianche would get angry, so she glared fiercely at Yun Chujie. Little Jiu, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and kowtow to His Highness the Crown Prince. The old imperial consort couldn't help but feel stifled. This little girl seemed to be quite clever before, but why was she now in a daze? As expected, Those from the lower-class continent couldn't be put on the stage. Yun Chujio seemed to have woken up from a dream. She shivered a few times and then said weakly, His Highness the Crown Prince is talking to me? I thought he was talking to Sister Shiyu. Everyone. No wonder her expression was normal and she did not have any reaction. It turned out that she really did not know that the Crown Prince was talking about her. She was really stupid. However, she was quite smart just now. Why did she suddenly become stupid? She was probably scared by the Crown Prince's majesty. After all, she was a country bumpkin who had not seen much of the world. The Crown Prince, Lung Tianche, snorted in disdain. This Yun Chujio not only had low spiritual power, but she was also not very smart. It seemed that the imperial tutor had made a mistake this time. Lung Tianche looked at Yun Chujio coldly. Now you know that I am talking to you, right? Come and kneel down and worship me. Yun Chujio showed a fearful expression and walked to Lung Tianche. Princess Shiyu's eyes flashed with a trace of pride. This country bumpkin actually dared to oppose her mother. He was simply courting death. She would definitely learn a lesson today. Sister Shiyu, I don't know how to kowtow. Teach me. And I'm very stupid. You'd better show me a few more times. Otherwise it won't be good if I do the wrong bow, Yun Chujio said weakly. Princess Shiyu, this country bumpkin must have done it on purpose. Her demonstration? She taught her how to kowtow in front of everyone? How many times? Then wouldn't she still have face? Lung Tianche snorted coldly. There's no need for Shiyu to teach you, just kneel down. Princess Shiyu looked at Lung Tianche gratefully, and Lung Tianche returned a loving look, and He Xinjiu almost vomited. As expected, a bitch and a dog forever and ever. Make her kneel? It would be best if a bolt of lightning struck this bastard couple to death. Boom. A loud thunder startled everyone in the room. Why was there thunder all of a sudden? Consort Yun Jingshi sent someone out to check. Then the maid came in with a complicated expression and reported, Consort, that bolt of lightning struck Zhang Mama just now. Zhang Mama was knocked unconscious. He Xinjiu clapped her hands. Oh my God. As expected, good will be rewarded with evil. That old slave deceived the superiors and the subordinates. This time he got his retribution. Even the heavens can't stand it anymore. Yun Chujio felt that the heavenly lightning came at the right time. Although her jinx mouth skill was not effective at times, it was really powerful this time. When the people in the room heard Yun Chujio's words, they fell into silence for a moment. They looked at Lung Tianche with a complicated gaze. Even the Tian Dao would not tolerate a person, yet the Crown Prince helped her to exonerate her. This did not seem to make sense. Lung Tianche's expression was very ugly. The royal family had always claimed to be the chosen one, but just now he had helped a person that the Tian Dao would not tolerate to exonerate her. If this were to be spread out, although it was not a big deal. But those restless people could not help but make a fuss about this matter. When Lung Tianche thought of this, he could not help but vent his anger on Princess Shiyu beside him. If she had not said something about red bean cake, he would not have cared about the life and death of an old woman. But he had already said it, how could he take it back? When Princess Shiyu saw Lung Tianche's expression, her heart instantly sank. She bit her lips and said, Your Highness, just now Shiyu was muddle-headed. Zhang Mama did something wrong and should indeed be punished. It's better to send her to the manor. Let's do as you say. Lung Tianche saw that Princess Shiyu took the initiative to give him a way out, and the anger in his heart could not help but dissipate a lot. She was still so understanding. She was indeed a good match for him. Yun Chujio was a little puzzled. She said that just now to divert everyone's attention. She did not expect that the Crown Prince would change his mind. It seemed that there were still many things that she needed to understand about this towering sky continent. This guy was afraid that the Crown Prince would make her kneel again. He rolled his eyes, covered his chest and said, Ouch, ouch, my old habit is acting up again. It hurts so much. He Xinjiu cried out as she pounced on Princess Shiyu. Sister Shiyu, my heart hurts so much. Please save me. He Xinjiu grabbed her heart with one hand and twisted Princess Shiyu's arm with the other. Princess Shiyu pushed her subconsciously and He Xinjiu flew out and fell to the ground with a thud. Sister Shiyu, why do you hate me so much? It's fine if you don't support me, but why did you push me? My heart hurts so much. I'm most likely going to die. He Xinjiu said with tears in her eyes. Princess Shiyu hurriedly explained, No, it wasn't me. I didn't push her. She fell on her own. The crowd naturally didn't believe what she said. They weren't blind. They watched helplessly as she pushed the country bumpkin. That was why the country bumpkin fell so hard. Although the crowd did not like Yun Chujio, there were even more people who were jealous of Princess Shiyu. Hence, they looked at Princess Shiyu with a hint of mockery in their eyes. Leng Tianche saw that Princess Shiyu was very aggrieved and embarrassed. He snorted coldly and said, I can testify that Shiyu did not push her. She must have tripped over herself. When Leng Tianche said this, although the crowd knew that he was protecting Princess Shiyu, they could not say anything. They could only look at He Xinjiu, who was sitting on the ground and humming. He Xinjiu widened her eyes in disbelief, her face full of grievance and shock. Your Highness, you. Before He Xinjiu could finish her words, she choked and fainted. The old prince coughed and said, Xingshi, why don't you send someone to send little Jiu back to her room? Then take my invitation and invite the imperial physician over to take a look. Your Highness, I'm really sorry. Little Jiu has just returned. She did not know her manners and offended you. Please don't blame her. Leng Tianche felt very angry in his heart, but he couldn't tell what the reason was. In any case, ever since he saw this country bumpkin, his mood hadn't been good. He nodded. Your Highness, you're too kind. I still have things to deal with. I'll take my leave now. Everyone stood up to send him off. Leng Tianche waved his hand and left with a gloomy expression. Princess Shiyu quickly chased after him. Your Highness, it's all Shiyu's fault today. I shouldn't have let you get involved in Shiyu's family matters. Princess Shiyu's eyes turned red as she spoke and her tone became choked with sobs. Leng Tianche held her hand and said tenderly, it has nothing to do with you. It's just that I don't like that country bumpkin. You don't have to take it to heart. In a few days they'll come and pick you up. We'll go to the other courtyard to play. Princess Shiyu nodded shyly and then sent Leng Tianche out of the cloud mansion. Princess Shiyu turned around, her eyes full of viciousness. Damn country bumpkin. She had just entered the mansion and she was already embarrassed. Let's wait and see. When Princess Shiyu returned to the old imperial consort's courtyard, everyone had already dispersed. She simply went straight to Imperial Consort Yun's Xingshi's courtyard. After sitting for quite a while, Xingshi returned. Mother, how is that country bumpkin? She has woken up, but she's just moaning and moaning about how she feels dizzy and her heart aches. I've already sent someone to invite the imperial physician. Shiyu, you were too impulsive today. Next time, don't let the crown prince get involved in the matters of our cloud imperial residence, understand? Xingshi said seriously. Princess Shiyu nodded. Mother, you're right. I was indeed a little impulsive today. I just didn't expect that country bumpkin to be so difficult to deal with. Mother, why must father bring her back? Consort Yun. Xingshi frowned. At the beginning of the year, when the emperor summoned your father, he mentioned that your second uncle had a daughter in the immortal Yuan continent, but he didn't say anything else. Your father thought that the emperor was hinting at him to bring that country bumpkin back, so he sent people to prepare to head to the immortal Yuan continent. Who would have thought that those people would be killed on the way? PND everyone, what? No wonder the guards who looked familiar disappeared. So they are dead. Mother, who did it? Princess Shiyu asked in surprise. Xingshi shook her head. Your father sent people to investigate, but they didn't find anything. Your father felt that there should be someone who didn't want that country bumpkin to come back. Anyway, we didn't want that country bumpkin to come back, so your father put this matter aside. He did not expect that 2 months ago the emperor had once again mentioned that country bumpkin. Your father had no choice but to send someone to fetch that country bumpkin again. He originally thought that there would be someone who would stop him. He did not expect that this time he actually successfully brought that country bumpkin back. Princess Shiyu frowned. Mother's second uncle has been missing for several years. There is a high chance that he is already dead. Why must the emperor bring that country bumpkin back? Xingshi shook her head. Your father and I are also puzzled. She is just a little girl, so we can bring her back. If it is a boy, then we cannot keep him. Princess Shiyu's face flashed with suspicion. She gritted her teeth. Mother, could it be that father deliberately brought her back to threaten the Yi family? The teacup in Xingshi's hand fell to the ground. Shiyu, what did you say? Princess Shiyu held Xingshi's hand. Mother, I know everything. You don't have to hide it from me. When she brought the Yi family back, she wanted to ask second uncle about his whereabouts. But later on my father clearly took a liking to that bitch from the Yi family. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent so much effort to send that bitch from the Yi family away. Jing Shi's expression was ferocious. Since you already know, I won't hide it from you. I've long wanted to kill that bitch from the Yi family, but your father sent many people to protect that bitch. However, that bitch from the Yi family was set up by me to go there. Your father has no way to enter. Moreover, that bitch from the Yi family has already fallen into 1,000 days of sleep. It won't be long before she dies silently. As for that bitch Yun Chujio, they'll let her prance around for a few days for now. If it's your father's wish, then find a chance to kill her. If it's the emperor's wish, let's not act rashly for the time being. On the other side, He Xinjie was lying on the bed, whimpering as she pondered on her next step. It was obvious that she wanted to gain a foothold in the Yun mansion. The most important thing at the moment was to cling onto the old prince and the old princess' thighs. Otherwise, she would probably be harmed by her uncle's family until not even her bones were left. Also, that crown prince seemed to hate her very much. It was really strange. She did not offend him, so why did he hate her so much? Oh right, and where exactly was her mother sent to? She had to find an opportunity to find out. He Xinjie was a little tired after going through all this. In her half-asleep state, she heard a voice. When she opened her eyes, she saw Jing Shi accompanying an old man into the bedroom. Little Jiu, this is Imperial Physician Wang. Let him take a look at you, Jing Shi said gently. If outsiders looked at it, they would think that this aunt was very concerned about her little niece that she had just found. She was more concerned about her than her own daughter. Yun Chujio smiled weakly. Thank you for your trouble, Imperial Physician Wang. My body has always been weak. I often feel dizzy and faint. Maybe it's because I'm an orphan, so I've suffered too much. Unlike Sister Shiyu, who has a strong body. She pushed me lightly and I fell to this state. Jing Shi. Jing Shi wished she could sew Yun Chujio's mouth shut. This damn brat must have done it on purpose. It was fine if you said that your body wasn't well, but why did you have to bring Shiyu along? Wasn't this clearly trying to ruin Shiyu's reputation? Jing Shi sighed. Imperial Physician Wang, I've made a fool of myself. This child is most likely sick and confused. She's even starting to spout nonsense. You'd better hurry up and take a look at her. Imperial Physician Wang was used to the shady and private affairs of the rear residence, so he did not continue the conversation and began to check He Xinjie's pulse. He Xinjie had long let the Guai Chao make her pulse weak and disorderly. Therefore, Imperial Physician Wang's brows were tightly knitted. After a long while he finally withdrew his hand. Consort Yun 9th Miss Pulse is weak and weak. Moreover, it seems that the sunflower water has not arrived yet, and her body is severely depleted. No wonder she said that she often feels dizzy and weak. Fortunately, she has the spiritual power, or else the consequences would be worrisome. I'll prescribe a few doses of medicine to take first. Pay attention to rest and don't have any violent mood swings. Otherwise, the illness will worsen, Imperial Physician Wang said with a sigh. He had seen many patients, but this was the first time he had seen a pulse that was so chaotic. It was really not easy for this little girl to live until now. Consort Yun was really stunned. She thought that Yun Chujio was pretending, but she didn't expect that she was really sick. And it sounded like she had a short life? Good, very good. It would prevent her from making a move. Although Jing Shi was happy in her heart, she had a worried expression on her face. She asked for some precautions and then asked someone to send Imperial Physician Wang out. Little Jiu, take care of yourself. If you need anything, ask the servants in your courtyard to look for me, Jing Shi said gently. Thank you very much, Auntie. Little Jiu is not feeling well, so I won't send you off. He Xinjie coughed a few times as she spoke. Jing Shi saw that Yun Chujio was half dead and felt very relieved. She said a few more fake words and then left. Yun Chujio saw that Jing Shi had left and said weakly, "The two of you come in for a moment." The two handmaidens came in and bowed. Shi Hua and Shi Shui paid their respects to Miss Jiu. Yun Chujio sat on the bed and sized up the two handmaidens. She did not speak for a long time. The two handmaiden charts were in a mess. What did Miss Jiu mean? Yun Chujio chuckled and said, "Did Aunt ask you to report my every move to her? And she also asked you to be more respectful to me so that I wouldn't find fault with you?" Shi Hua and Shi Shui's expressions changed. Just as they were about to defend themselves, they heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, "You don't have to explain. I won't believe you even if you tell me." You must have heard that I took care of Zhang Mama and Manager Lu. I can take care of both of them, not to mention you two little beauties. If you want to live, just swear to your inner demons that you will never betray me. Otherwise I will kill you now. I believe that the Yun mansion won't do anything to me just because I killed 2 handmaidens. Xihua and Xishui quickly knelt on the ground. Xihua said with a trembling voice, "Ninth Miss, please spare my life. Ninth Miss, please spare my life. We will not betray you." Then swear. Ninth Miss, this you may not know this. In the towering sky continent, there is no such thing as an inner demon oath. Even if you swear on your inner demons, it will be useless. Yun Chujio frowned. There was no such thing as a heart demon oath? Oh my, then she could no longer use the heavenly thunder oath to fool others. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not speak, Xihua was afraid that she would not believe her, so she continued, "Miss Jiu, what I said is true. There is no heart demon oath in towering sky continent, only blood oath. If both parties want to make a bet or make an oath, they have to go to the Divine Hall to find the Imperial Tutor to sign the blood oath. If either party breaks the blood oath, they will be punished by heaven." Imperial Tutor? There was such a species? Yun Chujio felt more and more confused. She took out 2 pills and said, "Eat this. If you dare to betray me, you will never get the antidote." Xihua and Xishui naturally did not want to eat it, but when they thought about how Zhang Mama had been tricked by this 9th Miss, they were no match for her, so they had no choice but to swallow the pills. "You should report it tomorrow. Just say that I'm half dead. I coughed for a long time in the middle of the night and vomited blood. Do you understand?" Naturally, Xihua and Xishui did not dare to disobey and nodded repeatedly. "By the way, in order to avoid suspicion, take turns to cough tonight. In case Aunt wants to see a bloody handkerchief, you should let out some blood." Yun Chujio took out a handkerchief and threw it to Xihua. Xihua and Xishui felt that their future was bleak. They could imagine that their future would be miserable. They had been unlucky for 8 lifetimes. How could they be sent to this monster by the princess consort? When the 2 of them were feeling hopeless, they heard Yun Chujio say lightly, "Don't worry. If you are obedient, I won't mistreat you. Take these spirit stones and play with them." Xihua and Xishui saw the extra 1 million upper-grade spirit stones in their storage rings, and they were so scared that they sat down on the ground and almost fainted. Ninth Miss, this is too much." "Yes, 9th Miss, did you take the wrong turn all of a sudden?" The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. "Not much, this is just a small matter. I've always been clear about the rewards and punishments for my own people. Moreover, if you don't have money, how are you going to help me? As long as you are loyal, not only will the spirit stones not be a problem, but I will also give you a bright future." Xihua and Xishui trembled as they thanked her. They practically scrambled out of Yun Chujio's bedroom. Yun Chujio did not care at all whether the 2 maids would expose her. If they were loyal, that would be the best. If they betrayed her, those spirit stones would be the best evidence for her to bite back. Why was she becoming more and more evil? There were white lotus flowers all over the floor of King Yun's residence. If she, the little black lotus, wanted to survive, she could only be blacker. She was also helpless. The reason why she pretended to be weak and sickly was to let those people think that she was a short-lived ghost. At least she would be able to stop for a while. Therefore, the next morning, Jing Shi heard the report from the people lying in ambush outside He Xinjia's courtyard. "Princess, since midnight yesterday, 9th Miss has been coughing non-stop. In the middle of it, we even heard the cries of the 2 maids. We vaguely heard something like vomiting blood." Jing Shi and Princess Xiyu looked at each other. They did not expect that country bumpkin to be a sickly person. This time it was even less troublesome. After a while, Xihua saw Jing Shi and reported again. It was almost exactly the same as what she had said before. Jing Shi nodded and asked, "Xihua, why is your voice hoarse?" Xihua said respectfully, "Princess, 9th Miss spent half the night yesterday. I may have caught a cold. It's not a big deal." Jing Shi did not take it seriously and waved Xihua off. Xihua walked out of Jing Shi's courtyard. She did not know how she felt. Why was her voice hoarse? Of course it was caused by coughing. That little devil made her and Xishui take turns to cough for 4 hours. Xihua recalled what the little devil had said to her when she had arrived. "Xihua, Xishui, why are you so careless? Did you catch a cold?" Is that why your voice is hoarse? You're my people now. I feel sorry for you. Xihua had wanted to strangle her to death. However, when she heard the princess question, she realized that the little devil had probably predicted that the princess would ask about her voice, so he had prepared an excuse for her. This ninth miss was really a monster. When Xihua was walking back, she'd coincidentally met many maids on the way. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, they were all asking about Yun Chujio. Xihua told them about what she said to Jing Shi. Therefore, in less than a day, everyone in the Yun family knew that the newly returned ninth miss was a pot of medicine. It was said that she would faint if her emotions fluctuated, and it was not certain that she would die directly. Apart from the disgust and disdain towards He Xinjiu, there was also a little bit of pity and schadenfreude. This country bumpkin's life was really tough. It was not easy for him to return to the Yun family, but he was unexpectedly short-lived. It seemed that he would die sooner or later. Yun Chujie was very satisfied with these rumors. This way she could not only numb Jing Shi and the others, but also avoid some trouble. After all, no one was willing to marry a sickly man. This way she was not afraid that Jing Shi would have designs on her marriage. The people of the Yun family sent people to deliver some supplements, but they were all sent by servants. Not a single master came to visit Yun Chujio. When Ji Mama, who was beside the old princess, came, she not only brought some supplements but also some cloth. However, the color of the cloth was bright, so it was obvious that they were all for Yun Chujio. Ninth miss, the old princess said that you are not well, so don't help her and the old prince to make clothes. It's important to recuperate well. As long as you don't do anything wrong, you will always be the ninth miss of the Yun family, Ji Mama said respectfully. Yun Chujio felt the meaning in her words. As long as you don't do anything wrong? Was she telling her to behave? However, there was another meaning in her words. Was she preparing to send her to the Yun family's jade archive? Ji Mama, please tell grandmother that I will take good care of myself. When I am better, I will go and pay my respects to her. After Ji Mama left, Yun Chujio called Xihua and Xishui into the house and asked about some things. Although Yun Chujio learned a lot from them, Xihua and Xishui did not know the whereabouts of the Yi family. They only knew that the Yi family had angered the old princess consort and was sent out of the Yun mansion. As for where they were sent to, the two of them did not know. Yun Chujio frowned. She could ask the two maids to inquire about it, but if it was not done well it would backfire, so it was best to stay put for the time being. 5 days later was the old consort's birthday, and it was also her first public appearance in Towering Sky Continent. However, she was now a patient, so she naturally could not leave the residence. Xihua and Xishui did not have tokens, so they could not leave the residence. What should she give the ungrateful old lady as a birthday gift? Yun Chujio's gaze fell on the few pieces of cloth that Ji Mama had sent over. Although the colors were very bright, if she had a little bit of thought she could still make a difference. Time flew by and soon 5 days had passed. The position of the Cloud King's mansion in the East Phoenix Kingdom was unshakable. Although the strength of the Cloud King's mansion had decreased after the disappearance of the previous Cloud King, as long as the Yun family's army was present, even the emperor would not easily offend the Cloud King's mansion. Therefore, there was an endless stream of people who came to congratulate the old consort on her birthday. The entire Cloud King's mansion was filled with laughter and joy. In stark contrast, He Xinjia's courtyard was completely silent. No one even came to inform her to attend the birthday banquet. Xihua and Xishui looked at each other. They felt that the little devil in the room should not be so quiet. After all, her illness was all an act. Just as they were thinking, the bedroom door was pushed open. When they saw the person who came out, their eyes widened in surprise. She was dressed in red and her eyes were arrogant. Although this person was still the same person, why did it feel like she was a completely different person? Although the original Miss Jiu was very good-looking, she always felt that she was still childish and careless. However, the woman in red in front of them was so dazzling that people could not take their eyes off her. When the two of them were stunned, they saw He Xinjiu frowning slightly. She covered her chest with her hand and coughed twice. Why aren't you coming over to support me? Do you want to see your miss faint? Xihua. Xishui. How could she change her expression so quickly? She was so arrogant a moment ago, but in the next moment she turned into a pitiful sick beauty. This ninth miss was really a monster. Yun Chujio took a few steps forward weakly and said, "Let's go. Let's go to the birthday banquet. As a granddaughter, it's not right for me not to go. Miss Jo, but no one informed us. If we go rashly, won't we make the princess unhappy? Besides, you didn't prepare a birthday gift, 11 Hua said weakly. She's unhappy? It's better if she dies of anger. Don't care so much. Come, you two support me. I don't even have the strength to walk now, He Xinjiu said weakly. Shi Hua cursed in her heart. She didn't have the strength? She had eaten more than the two of them. Did she eat all that food into the dog's stomach? Shi Hua and Shi Shui supported He Xinjiu out of the courtyard and slowly walked towards the hall where the birthday banquet was held. Shi Hua and Shi Shui wanted to walk faster, but He Xinjiu was like a boneless person. She was almost carried forward by the two of them. The two of them felt as if their minds had been blown away. Their master had been tormenting them for a day, but they had to carry He Xinjiu when they could have walked on their own. He Xinjiu said in a low voice, "Are you cursing me in your heart? You think I can walk but you're carrying me?" Shi Hua and Shi Shui were so frightened that their faces turned pale. This little devil couldn't read minds, so how could she always guess what they were thinking? Yun Chujiu laughed lightly. Who knows if there are spies around here, so it's better to be careful. Yun Chujiu added silently in her heart. A good show must come to an end. If she didn't stall for time, how could she make a grand entrance? Her biological father, Yun Fengjin, was the god of war of the East Phoenix Kingdom. Although his life and death were unknown now as his daughter, she naturally wouldn't embarrass him. Even though she was only a weakling at the 8th layer of the spiritual space realm, even though she was alone and helpless, even though she was currently weak and sickly, Yun Fengjin and Yilan's daughter could have nothing, but she could not lose her pride. The things that should have belonged to her father and the things that belonged to her mother had to be obediently spat out. There was still time in the future, so there was no rush. Take your time. At this moment in the hall, the main event of the birthday banquet was being held. The Yun family's juniors were sending birthday gifts one after another. Among the juniors, Princess Xiyu was in the limelight. Not only did she give the old princess a very expensive Tianxian snow ginseng, but she also played a song. Everyone repeatedly praised Princess Xiyu for her filial piety, superb zither skills, and so on. In short, all of them were full of praise. Seeing that her daughter was so capable, even though Jingshi tried her best to hide it, her face still revealed some complacency. At this moment, a few soft coughs came from outside the door. The hall was very lively. According to common sense, only a few light coughs would be heard, so naturally no one would hear it. However, everyone did hear it. Everyone turned their heads to look at the entrance of the hall. They saw a red-clothed girl standing at the door. She didn't look too good, probably due to her weak body. The girl's body leaned slightly on one of the maids. Seeing everyone's gaze, her face turned slightly red as if she felt a little uncomfortable. Everyone whispered to each other. "Who is this girl?" Someone exclaimed softly, "Ah, this should be the 9th Miss of the Cloud King's mansion. She was just brought back from the previous phase. I heard that her body is not too good. This little girl is really good looking. She is even more beautiful than Princess Xiyu. Unfortunately, she is a medicine jar. Otherwise, there would definitely be many people coming to her door to ask for her hand in marriage. Not only is she a medicine jar, there's a high chance that the previous Lord Yun has already met with misfortune. That Yi family didn't even send the Yun family's jade archive. This 9th Miss position in the Cloud King Manor is very delicate." The young lady seemed to have heard everyone's discussion, so she stubbornly made the maidservant beside her step back. The maidservant's face revealed a worried expression. Clearly, she was afraid that the young lattice body wouldn't be able to hold on, but she still retreated behind the young lady. The girl bit her lip. The shyness and awkwardness on her face instantly turned into a bright and beautiful smile. She slowly walked into the hall with light steps. Everyone couldn't help but gasp. If the girl had been like this at the beginning, perhaps they would only find it pleasing to the eye. However, the bright and beautiful smile at this moment was a strong contrast to the weak and sickly state from before. It was extremely stunning. At this moment, everyone's gaze fell on the young lady. Even though the young lattice hands were trembling slightly due to her nervousness, it still could not hide the young lattice bright and beautiful appearance. At this moment, everyone could not help but sigh in their hearts. She was indeed worthy of being the daughter of the god of war Yun Fengjin. Such peerless beauty was truly stunning. While everyone was amazed, they could not help but feel a little pity. If Yun Fengjin was still here, there would be no need for Princess Shiyu to be involved. She was the real princess. Moreover, this ninth Miss Health was not good, so her lifespan was probably limited. No family would marry such a short-lived daughter-in-law. Moreover, her spiritual power was very low. No matter how good-looking she was, it would be useless. Princess Shiyu's palm was bleeding from her fingernails. She was clearly the most popular woman at the banquet today, but she did not expect that this damn country bumpkin would steal the limelight. It was really hateful. Although Princess Shiyu's heart was filled with hatred, the smile on her face was still gentle. She took a step forward and blocked in front of Yun Chujio, saying with concern, "Ninth sister, are you feeling better? Last time when you suddenly fainted, it scared grandmother quite a bit. Elder sister knows that you have just returned to the Yun residence and want to see the world. But today is grandmother's birthday banquet. Can your body hold up?" Princess Shiyu's words seemed to be incoherent, but the hidden meaning was very obvious. You are just a country bumpkin who wants to show off, but don't faint at grandmother's birthday banquet. It would be a disappointment and a disgrace. The old imperial consort frowned slightly, and her heart was a little unhappy. The birthday banquet was a happy event, and if it was really disturbed by little Gio, it would really be bad luck. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio with disdain and ridicule in their eyes. So it was to show off. No wonder she wore a red dress. Those from the lower continent were just not presentable. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Yun Chujio's face was slightly flushed and her eyes were filled with tears. Her body trembled slightly. "Third sister, although my body isn't well, it's fine if I'm not stimulated. I just want to pay my respects to grandmother. If you're not happy, then I'll go back now." Princess Shiyu's face stiffened. What did she mean by unhappy? With that said, it was as if she had forced her to go back. This country bumpkin was really sharp-tongued. "Ninth sister, I'm just concerned about you. You're thinking too much. Hurry up and congratulate grandmother on her birthday." Princess Shiyu said with a stiff face. "Thank you for your concern, third sister. It's just that, third sister, you're blocking my way. Please move aside." Yun Chujio said somewhat timidly. Princess Shiyu retreated to the side, but she was very angry in her heart. She always felt that Yun Chujio's words had a double meaning. Damn bitch. Yun Chujio smiled apologetically at the crowd and then continued to walk forward. When the crowd saw Yun Chujio's apologetic smile and looked at the stiff face of Princess Shiyu, they had a subtle contrast in their hearts. Compared to Princess Shiyu, this medicine jar looked more elegant and magnanimous. No matter how they looked at Princess Shiyu's behavior just now, they felt that she was petty. When everyone was deep in thought, they heard Yun Chujio clearly say, "Little Gio wishes grandmother good health. The more she lives, the younger she will be. She will always be as beautiful as a flower." The old imperial consort lightly reprimanded, "You have no filter. You are already an old woman, how can you still be as beautiful as a flower?" Although the old royal consort said this, there was no trace of annoyance on her face. It was obvious that her words had hit the nail on the head. No matter how old a woman was, she would always care about her own appearance. "Grandmother, don't be modest. You're even more beautiful than a flower. Grandfather, don't you agree?" Hei Xinjio winked at the old royal highness. The old royal highness' old face instantly turned red. Pitifully, this was the first time in his life that he was at a loss for what to do. The old royal highness could only nod his head and acknowledge her. The old imperial consort's face instantly turned even redder. When imperial consort Yun Jingshi saw that Yun Chujio was in the limelight and had even subtly surpassed her own daughter, she was very angry. Her gaze then turned to Lady Liao, the fourth son of the Yun family. Lady Liao understood and said with a smile, "Little Gio's little mouth really knows how to talk. I wonder what kind of precious birthday gift you have prepared?" Liao sure felt that Yun Chujio would not be able to bring out anything good. When she took out the gift, she would mock her a few more times and make her lose face. Jing Shi would definitely not mistreat her. Yun Chujio's face turned red. "Fourth aunt, you also know that I am very poor, so I did not prepare anything too precious for grandmother. Moreover, I feel that the birthday gift does not depend on whether it is precious or not, but on the intention. Grandmother, don't you agree?" The old imperial consort naturally wouldn't refute, or else wouldn't it appear that she was a person who loved money. Thus, the old imperial consort said with a smile, "Little Gio is right. As long as the intention is there, it doesn't matter whether it's valuable or not. Little Gio, what kind of birthday gift did you prepare exactly? Grandmother is looking forward to it very much." Liao Shi's neck was pounded into a big pot of roast chicken, and she was embarrassed and didn't say a word. She snorted coldly in her heart. "This country bumpkin has a good mouth, let's see what kind of lousy thing you can take out." Little Gio made a piece of clothing for grandmother. Because she was not in good spirits these few days, she did not do it well. "I hope grandmother won't mind," Yun Chujio said shyly. The old imperial consort was much younger than her? This damned girl's words were too sarcastic. Yun Chujio continued, "Besides, who said that old people can only wear those dark colors? If it wasn't because I was afraid that grandmother wouldn't be able to accept it in a short time, I even planned to make grandmother clothes that were the same color as mine." Fourth aunt, filial piety isn't just talk. I would rather bear the risk of being scolded by grandmother to let grandmother try out a new style of clothing. Who knows, maybe grandmother will look good in it. As long as grandmother is happy, I am willing to bear the risk of being scolded. Hei Shinjio coughed a few times as she said this. Her hand rested on her forehead and her body trembled slightly. It was obvious that she was emotionally agitated. Lady Liao did not dare to make a sound. "Emma, if this wretched girl really fainted, others would say that she was the one who fainted out of anger. Moreover, the old consort would not forgive her for ruining the birthday banquet." On the other hand, the old consort was rather moved by Yun Chujio's words. Her clothes were dark and had not changed for 1,000 years. It had been a long time since she had worn fresh and tender colors. Hence, she unwittingly took out the entire set of clothes from the package. Everyone's gaze fell on the set of clothes in the old consort's hands. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Everyone cried out in surprise, especially some of the older madams. Their eyes were a little straight. The exposed water pink was just a decoration on the cuff. Furthermore, it had to be covered with a cloth. At that time it would only be faintly discernible. The main body of the clothes was water blue. To be exact, it was a slightly darker blue than water blue. This way, the old consort would not feel very eye-catching when she wore it, and it would also be different from the original dark color. Behind the old imperial consort, Ji Mama's eyes flashed. She remembered that the cloth that she had sent over was clearly aqua blue. How did it become such a suitable color for the old madam? Not only was the color of the dress eye-catching, but the style was also novel that she had never seen before. The hem of the dress was embroidered with an elegant twig peony. It was luxurious and elegant. The old madam simply could not put it down and could not wait to try it on immediately. Some of the older madams also praised it endlessly. Although the dress was not too expensive, the 9th Miss Kindness was really rare. At this moment, Yun Chujio coughed a few more times. Everyone sighed. They heard that the 9th Miss was not in good health and that she had only come because she had worked hard day and night to make the clothes. This filial piety was really touching. In this comparison, although the Tianxian snow ginseng given by Princess Shiyu was expensive, it was clearly not as thoughtful as the 9th Miss. The old princess looked at Yun Chujio with love and affection. "Grandmother likes this birthday gift of little Gio very much, but you are not in good health, so don't work too hard in the future." Yun Chujio's small face instantly blushed, and it could be seen that she was very excited. Her eyes were slightly red. "As long as grandmother likes it, little Gio is too happy." Seeing this, the old imperial consort was even more moved in her heart. This child was really pure and filial. She had misunderstood her previously. "If your body isn't good, then don't stand. Quickly find a place to sit down." Yun Chujio said timidly, "Grandmother, I'm not tired. I want to stand behind you and serve you. I want to be closer to you, okay?" Seeing Yun Chujio's longing and somewhat apprehensive gaze, the old imperial consort's heart instantly trembled. Although Yun Chujio's appearance resembled the Yi family, she could faintly see Yun Fengjin's shadow. The old imperial consort thought of her second son, whose fate was unknown, and her heart instantly softened. "Come over. Someone add a chair behind me and let little Ju sit behind me." Yun Chujio immediately smiled brightly. Her bright and beautiful smile instantly made people feel that the entire hall seemed to brighten up a bit. Everyone immediately stood up. The old imperial consort of the Yun imperial residence was indeed very honorable. The crown prince and the four princes had actually come personally to celebrate their birthday. Pan de N0, V1 Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and obediently stood up from the chair behind the old imperial consort. Then she stood beside Ji-mama. She knew that that damned crown prince Lung Tianche didn't like her, so it was better not to let him catch her in the act. Yun Chujia's gaze fell on the four princes who were half a step behind. They were all quite good-looking and looked like brothers. However, the royal family did not have any real family ties. They were probably thinking of taking down Lung Tianche so that they could replace him. Lung Tianche exchanged some pleasantries with the four princes and then presented a birthday gift. Naturally, they were all valuable things. Princess Shiyu's smile grew wider when she saw that the crown prince had arrived. Even if that bitch really had the green eyes of an old fart, it would be useless. As long as she became the crown prince's consort, even that old fart would have to listen to her. Everyone chatted for a while without feeling awkward. Fifth Prince Lung Tianhong's gaze fell on He Xinjiu, who was pretending to be a mushroom. He asked with a smile, "Old consort, is the person standing behind you the ninth young miss who just returned to the residence?" The old princess wanted to praise Yun Chujio, so she said with a smile, "Little ninth girl, why don't you go and greet the crown prince and the other princes?" He Xinjiu could only walk to Lung Tianche and the other princes meekly and bowed. Yun Chujio pays her respects to the other princes. The crown prince snorted, but the fifth prince said with a smile, "Ninth young miss, you don't have to be so polite. I heard that ninth young miss is not in good health. It's too tiring to stand here. Please sit by my side." Yun Chujio could see that the fifth prince had an ulterior motive from his smile. She lowered her head and said, "Thank you, fifth prince, but I have to serve grandmother." Before Yun Chujio could say anything, she heard the old consort say, "Little ninth girl, since the fifth prince wants you to sit, you can sit there." Yun Chujio, He Xinjiu had no choice but to sit by the fifth prince's side reluctantly. The fifth prince asked her if she was thirsty and also asked her about her body. In short, he was very attentive. There must be something wrong with the matter. Yun Chujio really could not understand what the fifth prince wanted from her, so she only answered perfunctorily. When she really did not want to talk, she would cough a few times. In any case, her body was not good. No one could find anything out. Princess Shiyu saw that Yun Chujio actually caught the fifth prince's eye, and her heart became even more jealous. The fifth prince was the most handsome man in East Phoenix country, and his words were humorous. It was a pity that he could not inherit the throne. Otherwise, she would definitely choose the fifth prince. However, the fifth prince would not really like that bastard. It was probably just a temporary novelty. After all, no one would marry such a good-for-nothing country bumpkin who did not live long. Moreover, there were many girls in City who admired the fifth prince. This country bumpkin would have a hard time. Yun Chujio, sister Shiyu, played a piece earlier. The music was melodious and it made people feel like they were there. "What talents do you have? Why don't you show us?" a sharp voice said. Yun Chujio raised her head and saw that the person who spoke was a woman in a light yellow dress. The way she looked at her was full of malice. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. "Who is this little bitch?" A faint smile appeared on Yun Chujio's face. "Excuse me, may I ask who you are? Judging from your age, you should be much older than me. Could it be that you are my elder?" Puff. The fifth prince spat out a mouthful of tea. The woman in yellow was so angry that her face turned red. This damn bitch must have done it on purpose. She was obviously about the same age as her, but she deliberately said that she was older. Wasn't that just beating around the bush to say that she was old? It was really detestable. Princess Shiyu said gently, "Ninth sister, this is my uncle's cousin Shueying. She is 1 or 2 years older than you. You can just call her sister." Yun Chujio made a long O sound and then said, "So it's Sister Shueying. I'm really sorry. The main thing is that you're wearing too old-fashioned clothes today. I really thought you were my elder." Jing Shueying was furious. She was wearing the latest style of clothing. How was she old-fashioned? This damn country bumpkin must have done it on purpose. Jing Shueying gritted her teeth. "Yun Chujio, do you have any talent to show off?" Don't tell me you don't know any talent? Yun Chujio glanced at her and then curled the corners of her lips. Congratulations, you got it right. I really don't know any talent. If you do, then show it off. No one will stop you. Zheng Shuiying. Everyone. She was probably the only one who could say that she didn't know anything so confidently, right? This Yun Chujio was really, different from the rest. Zheng Shuiying's face flushed red. She never thought that Yun Chujio would answer like this. She didn't know what to say for a moment, so she was stunned on the spot. Princess Xiyu had no choice but to help her out. Cousin Shuiying, Sister Jiu is different from us. It's normal that she doesn't know music, chess, calligraphy and painting. After all, she did not grow up in our towering sky continent. By saying this, Princess Xiyu not only helped Zheng Shuiying out of her predicament, but also belittled Yun Chujio. Moreover, she had isolated Yun Chujio from the social circle of the young ladies. It was simply killing multiple birds with one stone. A glimmer of light flashed across Yun Chujio's eyes. This white lotus was really difficult to deal with. Unfortunately, she had met her little black lotus, Xiaohei. Yun Chujio coughed violently a few times and then looked at Princess Xiyu with red eyes. Third sister, you really didn't treat me as your sister. I'm not a fool. What you said just now means that I'm not worthy of being your sister, right? Do you think that I don't want to learn music, chess, calligraphy and painting? Do you think that I don't want to be multi-talented? But my parents aren't by my side. I'm living in fear and treading on thin ice. I've cultivated to such a level in the continent with little spiritual power. I don't think I have anything to be ashamed of. You don't want to be my sister. I don't want it either. Panda N0, V1 Yun Chujio's voice choked at the end of her sentence. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she raised her head and held back her tears. She looked sad and stubborn. The old princess placed the teacup heavily on the table. Although she did not say anything, she looked at Princess Xiyu with reproach in her eyes. It was obvious that she was very dissatisfied with her. Many people in the hall also cast a mocking look at her. This Princess Xiyu usually had a virtuous and elegant appearance, but who would have thought that it was all an act? Ninth Miss was so pitiful, yet she still added insult to injury. This was really too much. Princess Xiyu's face flushed red. She could only say embarrassedly, "Ninth sister, I didn't mean that. I just think that it's understandable that you don't know any talent." Yun Chujio lowered her head and said sullenly, "Third sister, you don't have to say it. I understand. You are a high and mighty princess and I am a poor little girl who doesn't have long to live. Whatever you say is fine." After Yun Chujio finished speaking, her body trembled slightly. It perfectly described a poor little white lotus. Unfortunately, no one knew that the heart of this little white lotus was black. It was so black that it was extremely tragic. Princess Xiyu was so embarrassed that she didn't know what to say. Her face alternated between red and white as if everything she said now was wrong. At this moment, the crown prince said coldly, "Since you know your identity, you must abide by your duty in the future and don't do anything that is sensational." Everyone was stunned. They naturally understood that the crown prince's words were directed at Yun Chujio. It seemed that the crown prince really hated this Yun Chujio. That was true. Princess Xiyu was the future imperial consort of the crown prince, so the crown prince naturally had to speak up for her. Yun Chujio's heart was like a mutt. How did she offend this damned crown prince? Fuck, if you act pretentiously you'll be struck by lightning. Just you wait. Boom. A bolt of lightning struck the roof of the hall. Everyone was shocked. Why was there lightning all of a sudden? Hei Xinju was also shocked. Oh, how did her jinx skill become more and more effective ever since she came to Towering Sky Continent? In order to test it out, this guy silently thought that he would be struck by lightning for acting cool. He would be struck to death by that tortoise son of a bitch, the crown prince. He would be struck to death by Princess Xiyu little bitch. Unfortunately, even after repeating it dozens of times, he still could not draw out the heavenly thunder again. Hei Xinju was puzzled. What was the reason for this crow's mouth skill to be effective at times? It was definitely not a limit that could only be used once a day. This was because in the Dark Continent, there was once a day when it was effective twice. What exactly was going on? Hei Xinju lowered her head and pondered about the crow's mouth. In the eyes of everyone, it was because she had suffered a great blow because of the crown prince's words. She could not help but feel a little sympathy in her heart. People were so strange. Sometimes they would add insult to injury and sometimes they would sympathize with the weak. It was possible that Hei Xinjia's little white lotus was too accurate. So many people more or less sympathized with her. Princess Shiyu, on the other hand, was very pleased. No matter how much Yun Chuju jumped around, she was just a clown. As long as the crown prince said something, wouldn't she be honest now? The old princess couldn't bear it, so she ordered, "Let's start the banquet." When the banquet was served, the fifth prince suddenly realized that the little girl beside him, who had been drooping her head, suddenly became energetic. Her eyes were sparkling as she stared at the dishes that were constantly being served. Although Yun Chujia's table only had the crown prince for princes and her 6 people, the dishes were the most sumptuous. Hei Xinjiu immediately forgot about the jinx skill. Although this fellow really wanted to feast, she still knew the rules. When the crown prince moved his chopsticks, she began to eat happily. The fifth prince and the others looked at Yun Chujiu in surprise. Which young lady did not eat in a reserved and elegant manner? This person was very good. She ate whichever plate she wanted at an extremely fast speed, but there was nothing wrong with her etiquette. In the end, the fifth prince and the others simply put down their chopsticks and stared at Hei Xinjiu eating and drinking alone. If it was an ordinary lady, she would have felt uncomfortable being stared at by a few men. However, Hei Xinjiu did not care so much. In her eyes, this crown prince and prince were similar to cabbages. It was fine if they did not provoke her. If they provoked her, they would be killed sooner or later. The crown prince curled his lips. How rude. It seemed that the imperial preceptor must have made a huge mistake this time. Just as the crown prince was thinking, a distant bell rang from outside. Everyone in the hall turned pale with fright. This bell was the sound of the twilight bell of the divine hall. Enchanting had an unwritten rule. As long as the twilight bell rang, it would be the signal for the imperial preceptor to summon them. The officials of the East Phoenix Kingdom and their families in Enchanting had to rush to the temple as fast as possible. Hei Xinjiu was enjoying her meal when she saw the crown prince and the 4 princes jump out of the hall as if they were being chased by dogs. Then the old royal highness, the old princess consort, and the others also rushed out of the hall. In the end, only she and some servants were left in the hall. Hei Xinjiu was stunned for a moment. She felt that these people's strange behavior was most likely related to the bell just now, so she couldn't be bothered. Anyway, these servants didn't leave, which meant that it wasn't something that could cause the world to collapse. She eats her food. Those servants looked at Hei Xinjiu, who was eating like a monster. Shi Hua and Shi Shui walked to her side and reminded her in a low voice, "Miss Jiu, the bell just now sounded from the twilight bell of the temple. I guess the national master has something important to announce. Won't you go and have a look?" Yun Chujiu waved her hand. "I am a low-level mainland to the little waste to go or not, what does it matter? Are you hungry? Come sit down to eat." "Oh right, and you guys, you've been busy for a long time. If you don't waste these dishes, sit down and eat together. I'm afraid they won't be back for a while. After you finish eating, clean up the things. They won't notice." No one dared to sit down and eat. Although King Yun and the others were not here, the butler was still here. If they were caught, it would be terrible. Hei Xinjiu did not care about them. After eating and drinking, she put all the food on the table into her storage ring. The crown prince and the others did not eat anything anyway. She ate the leftovers herself. Hei Xinjiu burped and was weakly supported away by Shi Hua and Shi Shui. The servants of the Cloud Mansion looked at each other. This 9th miss was not in good health, but her appetite was big enough and she even packed it? She must have suffered a lot in the past and was afraid of being hungry, right? This 9th miss was really pitiful. Hei Xinjiu was supported by Shi Hua and Shi Shui. She muttered softly, "Io, your miss is not pretending this time. I'm stuffed to death. Io." The corners of Shi Hua and Shi Shui's eyes twitched violently. This was too useless. It was fine as long as she was full, but she was already so full. The two of them helped Hei Xinjiu out of the room and saw Ji Mama chasing after her in a hurry. "Miss Jiu, the old consort just sent a message to me, asking you to go to the temple immediately." PN0V1 calm. Hei Xinjiu burped. "Ask me to go to the temple? I'm just a piece of trash. What do you want me to do?" Ji Mama's mouth twitched. Her spiritual power was low, but she was not ashamed of it. Instead, she was proud of it. What a weirdo. "I don't know the reason either, but the old madam wants you to go there immediately." Shi Shui, you go with Miss Jiu to the Divine Hall immediately. If you go late, be careful of your little lives, Ji Mama said sternly. Yun Chujio pouted. She knew that Ji Mama could not directly order her, so she took a detour to remind her to go quickly. Shi Hua and Shi Shui did not dare to delay. They almost carried Yun Chujio out of the Yun mansion in a hurry. After the two of them summoned their wildebeest, they saw He Xinju slowly summon a big rabbit. The two of them then remembered that they had heard someone say that their ninth miss had come to the city on a rabbit. The two of them did not have time to talk nonsense. They pointed in a direction and urged Yun Chujio to hurry up. Burp burp, no, I'm too full. I can't leave too quickly. Let's go for a stroll. Don't worry, one more is not much, one less is not little. He Xinju said while burping. Shi Hua and Shi Shui were sweating profusely, but they didn't dare to do anything to Yun Chujio. They could only stare at her anxiously. After about 15 minutes, Ji Mama rode on her wildebeest and caught up with them. She took a deep breath and said, Miss Jiu, the state preceptor and all the ministers are waiting for you alone. If you don't leave soon, the old princess will expel you from the Yun family. He Xinju looked confused. They are all waiting for me? They are all waiting for a good-for-nothing like me? He said, I didn't expect that I was so important. Ji Mama was so angry that she gritted her teeth. You're focusing on the wrong thing, okay? Ji Mama was about to drag Yun Chujio to the top of the horned horse when she saw the big rabbit leap out with a whoosh. He Xinjia's anxious voice came from the front. Since I'm so important, don't dawdle. Come back if you have something to say. Let's go. Ji Mama, it's you who dawdled, alright? You fucking know how to be anxious now. He Xinju was puzzled. They were all waiting for her? She was just a little trash from a low-level continent. Why were they all waiting for her? Could it be that something bad was going to happen again? Whether it was a blessing or a curse, a disaster could not be avoided. Regardless of whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, they had to go and take a look. Soon, the four of them arrived at the Divine Hall of the East Phoenix country. The Divine Hall was magnificent and had a mysterious and ancient charm. He Xinju had always been uninterested in those who pretended to be mysterious. She curled her lips slightly. In her opinion, the so-called imperial preceptor was nothing more than a fraud. Only the fools of the East Phoenix country would believe it. There were guards outside the Divine Hall. Ji Mama and two maids were stopped by the guards and allowed Yun Chujio to enter alone. Yun Chujio stepped into the Divine Hall and a maid immediately came to lead her to the altar. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and asked in a low voice, Sister Maid, there are maids in the Divine Hall? I thought everything would be fine as long as the imperial preceptor chanted a spell every day. The corner of the maid's eyes twitched and she ignored He Xinju. He Xinju was not embarrassed and asked again, Sister Maid, are they really waiting for me? Is it so important for a little trash like me? The maid staggered. She was obviously confused by He Xinjia's proud tone of calling herself a little trash, but she still did not say anything. Seeing this, Yun Chujio did not ask any more questions. It seemed that the imperial preceptor was really good at managing the servants. Each and every one of them was like a gourd that had its mouth cut off. Soon Yun Chujio was brought to the altar. At the front was a 9-story altar. The white and smooth surface was emitting a cold light. There was a man dressed in white standing in front of the altar. There was a coldness in his bones, causing people to unconsciously feel reverence. Of course, He Xinju was not one of these people. He Xinju glanced at him. This national advisor was a middle-aged beautiful uncle, but she did not know if it was because he had no desires or was pretending to be cold. There were many people standing in the square. At the very front stood a middle-aged man dressed in a dragon robe, and beside him stood a middle-aged woman wearing a phoenix coronet and a veil. She must be the emperor and empress of East Phoenix country. Behind her stood the crown prince and then the prince. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that something big had happened and she had to come here. It couldn't be related to her, right? At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Hei Xinjiu. He Xinjiu coughed a few times and looked at the old imperial consort timidly, looking at her at a loss. When He Xinjiu was dressed as Little Lotus, she heard the state preceptor say in a cold voice, Miss Yunjiu, since you're late, you can be the sacrifice today. Yun Chujio. Damn it. That's not how it works. Sacrifice? Wouldn't she be dead? She still had a lot of things to do. She still had to give birth to a monkey for the pretty boy. She still had to save her mother. She was still looking for her father. Was she going to die just like that? Hei Xinjiu knew that she definitely couldn't run away now. After all, her spiritual power was weak compared to these people. There was no chance of escaping at all. The damn Great Void Mirror was still in hibernation. Otherwise she could hide inside the Great Void Mirror. What should she do now? Just as Hei Xinjiu was burning with anxiety, she realized that many women were looking at her with jealousy and indignation in their eyes. Hei Xinjiu was dumbfounded. Are these people sick? Do they all want to be sacrificed? Are they all so aware that they would rather sacrifice their lives for the so-called nonsense? Just as Hei Xinjiu was in a daze, a maid from the divine hall came over. Miss Yunjiu, please follow me. Hei Xinjiu secretly gritted her teeth. She could only take it one step at a time. If she really could not do it, she would think of a way to kidnap the national master. Fuck, there would be a place for her if she did not leave the master here. After all, she could not die. Yun Chujiu followed the maid to the bottom of the altar. This fellow was pondering in his heart. Was he going to burn her to death or chop off her head? Just as Hei Xinjiu was thinking, she saw the national master's hair flying in the air. He was mumbling to himself, and the top of the 9th floor altar was burning. Everyone was kneeling on the ground devoutly. Only Hei Xinjiu was staring at the 9th floor altar with blinking eyes. This big-hearted guy was thinking, "Pooey. He's playing tricks. There must be a formation inside the altar," which was why it was burning with his so-called incantation. This fellow finally thought of something serious. It was highly likely that he would throw her into the altar and burn her. Fortunately, she had the fire-repelling pearl, so it would not burn her to death. At that time she could make up a lie, such as a warning from the heavens. In any case, these people of the East Phoenix Kingdom were very superstitious. Perhaps she could kick out the national master and replace him. Just as Hei Xinjiu was thinking of a good thing, she saw the national master walking towards her. The Grand Tutor said in a cold voice, "Miss Yunjiu, since you have become the sacrifice, you are the Grand Tutor's disciple. You must be by the Grand Tutor's side from now on." Hei Xinjiu, the so-called sacrifice was actually like this? Not dead? Many of the women kneeling below looked at Hei Xinjiu with eyes full of naked envy, jealousy and hatred. They wished they could replace her. All the women in the East Feng Kingdom dreamed of becoming the imperial tutor's disciple. If you are still alive after 3 days, you can be exempted from your identity as a sacrifice. Yun Chujia's face revealed a look of despair. After a long while she asked dryly, "State Preceptor, why did you choose me as a sacrifice? Is it because I'm as beautiful as a flower?" The State Preceptor. The women below all wished they could spit on Yun Chujia's face. Shameless. They had never seen such a shameless person. However, they were also very curious. Why did the State Preceptor choose this country bumpkin? Was it really because of her beauty? The national master was silent for a while and then said indifferently, "Because the heavens have shown that the woman who came the latest today is my disciple." Hearing this, Yun Chujiu looked at the old consort with resentment. It was all the fault of this white-eyed old lady. Why did she call her here for no reason? The old consort saw Yun Chujia's resentful eyes and was so angry that she was twitching. "You stupid girl, becoming the national master's disciple is a great thing." Moreover, she didn't have to call Hei Xinjiu over. It was the imperial tutor himself who suggested that all the dignitaries must be present. That was why she called Hei Xinjiu over. Yun Chujiu gritted her teeth and stomped her foot. Blushing, she said, "Imperial tutor, to tell you the truth, I already have someone in mind. Although we are not married, we have touched everything that we should and shouldn't touch. Therefore, I don't have the face to become your disciple. I choose to sacrifice myself to the divine phoenix." Imperial tutor. Everyone. The old princess almost fainted. It was over. Little Jiu would never be able to get married in this lifetime. Hei Xinjiu thought to herself, "This is called getting it over with once and for all, so as to prevent anyone from having designs on her again. Let's see who would still dare to marry her." Otherwise, when she safely came out of the altar, It would be terrible if this shameless state preceptor had designs on her again. The national master said with a stiff face, "In that case you can go up to the altar." Hei Xinjiu wiped her tears and walked to the old royal highness and the old consort. "Grandfather, grandmother, little Jiu is unfilial. She is going to sacrifice herself to the divine phoenix even though she hasn't done her filial duty yet. Just pretend that I'm not your granddaughter." The old royal highness frowned and didn't say anything. However, the old consort lowered her voice and said, "Little Jiu, it seems that the national master doesn't dislike you. Just be his disciple. Be obedient." Yun Chuju thought to herself, "Damn it, I despise him. Old ox still wants to eat young grass." She did not know how many girls this fraud had ruined with this method. Sooner or later he would expose his true colors. Although Yun Chujio was cursing in her heart, her face revealed a hint of determination. "Grandmother, I am in love with that person. I will not do anything to let him down, so I would rather sacrifice myself to the divine phoenix." The old imperial consort was about to persuade her again, but Zheng Shi said from the side, "Mother, it is the honor of the Yun imperial residence to be able to sacrifice myself to the divine phoenix. Don't say any more." Although the old imperial consort was unhappy, she knew that Zheng Shi was right. If the emperor was unhappy with the Yun imperial residence, it would be bad. "First aunt, since you speak so righteously, then let third sister become the imperial tutor's disciple. Anyway, we are all the Yun family's daughters, so it doesn't matter who goes." "Third sister, are you willing to become the imperial preceptor's disciple?" Yun Chuju looked at Princess Shiyu with a smile. Princess Shiyu's face instantly turned red. She was naturally willing, but she wasn't stupid enough to say it out loud, so she said hesitantly, "Ninth sister, this isn't child's play, don't talk nonsense." Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders, turned around and asked the imperial preceptor, "Imperial preceptor, my third sister said that she is willing to replace me. Take her as your disciple." Princess Shiyu almost fainted from anger. When did she say such a thing? Princess Shiyu shook her head repeatedly. "No, I didn't say it. Imperial preceptor, I didn't say it." The imperial preceptor looked at Princess Shiyu indifferently. "What? Princess Shiyu is also unwilling to become my disciple? Could it be that the Yun residence is dissatisfied with me?" Princess Shiyu hated Yun Chujio to death. The imperial tutor might not want to accept her as his disciple, but if she said she was willing, she would offend the crown prince. If she said she wasn't willing, the imperial tutor might fly into a rage. It was a dilemma. Princess Shiyu's face was flushed red. She was in a dilemma and didn't know how to answer when the imperial tutor said, "Miss Yunjio, the time is up. Enter the altar." Yun Chujio pouted. She knew that she could not drag it out. She could only hug the old princess consort and then walk to the altar with a slight tremble. The old princess consort's heart was about to be broken by Hei Xinjia's hug. Although she hated this granddaughter before today, she did not know why. At this moment, seeing her go to her death, her heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. She could not help but cry. Tiskadihe, this feeling of looking down was really satisfying. Very soon the sky turned dark. Yunchuju was still alive and kicking. Everyone's hearts began to beat a little. Could it be that the divine phoenix really wasn't prepared to accept this country bumpkin? However, most people thought that the country bumpkin had a defensive immortal artifact on her, so she was not burned to death. However, she could not last for 3 days. She would definitely be burned to death. The Emperor of the East Phoenix Kingdom, Saint Martial Emperor, looked at Hei Xinjiu in the flames with a complicated expression. He raised his head and looked at the state preceptor. The state preceptor's eyes were deep and he nodded slightly. Emperor Shengwa's expression was both worried and happy. He once again looked at Hei Xinjiu in the flames. The national master did not say anything, so everyone could only wait here for the final result. Someone exclaimed slightly, "That Yun Chujio has fallen. Could she have been burned to death?" Everyone raised their heads and looked. Indeed, Hei Xinjiu, who had been sitting and showing off, had fallen into the flames. Could she really be dead? Saint Martial Emperor frowned. Imperial Preceptor, although the prophecy says so, can a little girl from a low-level continent really save the East Phoenix Kingdom? Imperial Preceptor smiled. Since she has fulfilled the prophecy, then she is the master of the divine phoenix. She naturally has the ability to turn the universe around. However, Your Majesty, this is a heavenly secret that cannot be revealed. You should not interfere in the matters of the Cloud Mansion. Since she is the master of the divine phoenix, she will naturally be able to resolve all dangers. Saint Martial Emperor nodded. Although he still felt that it was inconceivable that the master of the divine phoenix was such a useless little girl, since she had not been burned to death by the raging flames for 3 days and 3 nights, it was not certain that she could really turn the tides. Saint Martial Emperor chatted with the Imperial Preceptor for a while more before leaving. The Imperial Preceptor took out a yellowish sheepskin scroll from his storage ring. On it were a few words circled in cinnabar. Voluntary sacrifice, the raging flames will not perish, the master of the divine phoenix turning the tides. After Hei Shinjio helped the old princess out of the divine hall, everyone called out their wildebeest and left. Hei Shinjio called out the big rabbit under the surprised gazes of the old princess and the old prince. Then she giggled. My rabbit runs no slower than a wildebeest and it can jump over obstacles. Grandmother, do you want to try? The old consort shook her head like a rattle drum. She was an old lady riding a rabbit all over the street. Stop joking. Before Hei Shinjio and the others arrived at the Yun mansion, the rumors had already spread. In short, there were only 3 points. First, Yun Chujio had unreasonably refused to be the Grand Tutor's disciple. She was simply out of her mind. Second, Yun Chujio was a shameless person. She actually engaged with a man privately and even did something outrageous. Thirdly, because she was too useless and did not love herself, even the divine phoenix despised her. That was why they did not accept her as a sacrifice. After hearing the rumors from Shihua, Yun Chujio smiled indifferently. It was for the best so that no one would have designs on her. However, what did the national master mean? Could it be that he rang the Muchen bell to find a female disciple to accompany and sleep with? Thinking of this, Hei Shinjio asked, Shihua, did the national master ring the Muchen bell for no reason and then find a female disciple to accompany him and sleep with? Shihua looked at Yun Chujio in confusion and asked in disbelief, Miss Jiu, why do you think so? Shihua revealed an expression of disappointment. Miss Jiu, although many women want to be the national master's disciple, the national master has never agreed to it. This time he was the one who took the initiative to take in a disciple, but you actually rejected it. Psych. 9th Miss, do you know that all the women in the East Phoenix country want to be the Grand Tutor's disciple? As long as you become the Grand Tutor's disciple, not to mention the princess consort, even the empress would not dare to provoke you. Yun Chujio was stunned. So she had misunderstood the Grand Tutor? So it was not a repeat offender, this was the first time? But no matter what, that old cow of his would not be able to eat this delicate young grass like her. This fellow had a big heart. She felt that since she could not figure it out, then she would not think about it anymore. It was better for her to cling tightly to the old consort and the old royal highness thighs now. Otherwise, those 2 little bastards, Xing Shi and Princess Shiyu, would definitely harm her. Moreover, only by coaxing the white-eyed old lady to be happy could she find out where her mother had been sent and then think of a way to save her mother. Thus, this fellow either ran into the old princess courtyard or ran towards the old prince's study. When this fellow went to the old prince's study for the first time, he was blocked outside. However, this fellow displayed his fearless and shameless spirit and went outside the old prince's study every morning to howl a few times. Grandfather, little Gio has come to grind ink for you. Grandfather, little Gio has sent you pastries. Grandfather, little Gio is here to give you spirit fruits. After Princess Shiyu heard this, she said with disdain, this country bumpkin thinks that grandfather can be moved with just a few good words? The study is an important place and she, a country bumpkin, wants to go in? Dream on. However, 5 days later, Princess Shiyu received the news that not only did Hei Shinjio enter the old prince's study, but she also obtained the old prince's acquiescence and could enter at any time in the future. Princess Shiyu was so angry that she smashed everything in the room into pieces. After Zheng Shi heard about it, she harshly reprimanded Princess Shiyu. Shiyu, you are someone who wants to be the crown prince's consort. How can you be so impatient? If the crown prince takes in a side consort in the future, wouldn't it be even more unbearable for you? Xihua gritted her teeth. Miss Jiu, don't blame me. I have no choice. If you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck. The next day Xihua went to the kitchen to get lunch. She went to a quiet place and sprinkled the medicine powder into the soup with trembling hands. Then she returned to the courtyard. Yo, today's food smells better than usual. Hey, Xinjiu said while looking at the food on the table with a smile. Xihua's heart skipped a beat. She bit her lips and said stiffly, maybe it's because Miss Jiu is hungry. Yun Chujiu curled her lips, then she said indifferently, I think I have something to tell you. I'm the easiest person to talk to, but if anyone betrays me, not only will I kill her, but I will also kill her family's dog. Xihua's legs gave way and she almost collapsed to the ground. P&D N0V1. Calm. Although Yun Chujia's expression was indifferent, 11 Hua felt that it was even more frightening than Jing Shi's cold threat. She finally could not take it anymore and knelt on the ground with a plop. Ninth Miss, please spare my life. Ninth Miss, please spare my life. I was forced by the princess. If I don't do as she says, she will kill my entire family. It doesn't matter if I die, but I can't just watch my parents and younger brother be killed by the princess. Xishui was shocked and quickly knelt to the side. She could not help but feel a little sad. The children of her family were not as good as the orphans she bought. The lives of her parents and family were in the hands of her masters. She had no ability to resist. Yun Chujiu glanced at Xihua. I am not your proper master. Compared to your relatives, I am naturally the one who has been abandoned. Get up. Xihua could not believe her ears. Was it over just like that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't she be handed over to the old princess and take her life? Which dish was poisoned? Yun Chujiu asked faintly again. Xihua pointed at the bowl of soup on the table with a trembling finger. Only the soup was poisoned. Yun Chujiu nodded. Go find Jing Shi now and say that I suddenly became filial and brought the soup to the old madam. You didn't stop me. Xihua looked at Yun Chujiu in disbelief. Jiu, Miss Jiu, what are you going to do? Yun Chujiu glanced at her. If you want to protect you and Zix's family, you have to do as I say. Otherwise, do you think the Zheng family will spare your family if I die? You are too naive. You will get rid of the root of the problem. Not only will you and your family die, but Zix's family will also die. Moreover, the crime is already done. It is you who poisoned me. No matter how bad I am still the miss of the Yun mansion. Naturally, your family will not be able to escape. Xihua was stunned at first, then her eyes widened in horror. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she became. The princess' methods were ruthless. She would definitely do as the ninth miss said. So what should she do now? While 11 Hua was stunned, Xishui said to her, Sister Xihua, now we can only listen to the ninth miss. In any case, we are all going to die. At least we don't have to bear the reputation of poisoning and killing our master. Xihua gritted her teeth and said to Yun Chujiu, Ninth Miss, as long as you can save the lives of me and Xishui's entire family, my life will belong to you from now on. Xishui nodded repeatedly at the side. They had no choice but to believe in this ninth miss in front of them. This ninth miss even took care of Zhang Mama and Manager Lu. She should be able to do it this time, right? C0M Jingshi thought of this and hurriedly brought Nanny Sun to the old princess residence. No matter what, she could not let the old princess drink the bowl of poisoned soup with added ingredients. Seeing that Jingshi and Granny Sun had left, Xihua staggered to her feet and left Jingshi's courtyard. She had placed all her bets on Yun Chujiu, so all she could do now was to wait. Jingshi almost trotted to the old princess courtyard. She did not even wait for the maid at the door to inform her before she barged in. The old princess was just about to have lunch when she saw Jingshi barging in a panic. She could not help but frown. Boss, do you have something urgent? Jingshi did not answer the old consort. She hurriedly put the bowl of bamboo sun chicken soup in the middle of the table into her storage ring and said, Mother, there's something wrong with the bamboo sun used to make soup in the kitchen today. I was afraid that you wouldn't feel well after drinking it, so I rushed over. You haven't drunk it yet, have you? This little Jiu is too much. Why did she give you soup out of the blue? She almost got into trouble. The old princess looked at Jingshi in shock. This soup is from the kitchen. What does it have to do with little Nine? Jingshi was stunned. Didn't little Nine send this soup to you? The old princess was confused and looked at Jingshi suspiciously. Little Nine has never been here before. How did you know that little Nine was going to send me soup? Jingshi was shocked. That bitch didn't come to deliver the soup? Could it be that Xihua lied to her? No, that bitch didn't have the guts to lie to her. What was going on? At this moment, a clear voice came from outside the courtyard. Grandmother, grandmother, I've brought you soup. Today's soup is especially delicious. Along with the voice, He Xinjiu hopped in. Jingshi's heart skipped a beat. She had rushed over as soon as she heard the news. Of course, she was faster than this bitch. She had miscalculated. But it was also good. She could destroy the soup she had brought out just in case there was any evidence left behind. After He Xinjiu entered, she looked at the food on the table and clapped her hands. Grandmother, what a coincidence. You just happened to not have any soup here, so I brought it here for you. Isn't this called telepathy? The old princess spat at her. You little monkey, you're the best at talking. I used to have a bowl of bamboo sun chicken soup here, but your aunt said that there was something wrong with the bamboo sun chicken soup, so she didn't let me drink it. What kind of soup did you bring? If it's also bamboo sun chicken soup, then throw it away. Yun Chujio smiled smugly. Grandma, it just so happens that my soup is not bamboo sun chicken soup, but winter melon pork ribs soup. So it's definitely not a problem. Let's drink my bowl. As Yun Chujio spoke, she took out a bowl of winter melon spare ribs soup from her storage ring. Then she smiled and asked Jingshi, "And there's something wrong with Jusun chicken soup. This winter melon spare ribs soup shouldn't be a problem, right? Do you want to sit down and drink some with me? The soup today smells exceptionally fresh. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come all the way here to deliver it to grandmother." Jingshi's head buzzed. She had been too anxious just now and did not ask Xihua what kind of soup she had given to this bastard at noon. It seemed that this bowl of winter melon spare ribs soup must be poisonous and had to be knocked over. Therefore Jingshi laughed dryly and said, "It just so happens that I haven't eaten yet. Mother won't mind adding a pair of chopsticks, right?" The old imperial consort felt that Jingshi was strange today. Normally she would not even agree to stay to eat, but today she actually took the initiative to stay to eat. Although the old princess was suspicious, she still asked the maid to add a set of bowls and chopsticks. As for He Xinjiu, she had always been self-reliant. She had already taken out a set of bowls and chopsticks from her storage ring and was eagerly waiting for the order to start eating. The old princess couldn't help but laugh. She tapped her forehead with her hand and said, "Since you're hungry, let's start eating." He Xinjiu bared her little white teeth. She took a spoon and scooped a small bowl of soup and placed it in front of the old princess. Then she scooped another bowl for Jingshi. Finally, she scooped a bowl for herself and said crisply, "Drink the soup before eating. It's good for your health. Grandmother, first aunt, try this soup. It must be very delicious." Jingshi was so anxious that her head was full of sweat. In a moment of desperation, she tilted her body and swept her arm unintentionally, causing the bowl of soup between herself and the old princess consort to spill. She thought to herself, that bastard should just drink it, as long as the old princess consort was not poisoned. "And are you all right? It's such a pity for those 2 bowls of soup. But it's all right, there's still more than half a bowl left. It'll help you and grandmother get another bowl." He Xinjiu stood up and began to fill the bowl with soup with a smile. Jingshi wished she could put the bowl of soup in the middle of the table into her storage ring, but she had no excuse. If she forcefully put it away, it would inevitably arouse the suspicion of old farts. While Jingshi was deep in thought, He Xinjiu had already filled 2 more bowls of soup and placed them in front of Jingshi and the old princess. Jingshi was about to repeat the same trick when she heard He Xinjiu say with a smile, "First aunt, you have to sit still this time and don't fall again. Otherwise, he'll think that you deliberately don't want grandmother to drink the soup that I sent." Jingshi gnashed her teeth in hatred and said with a stiff face, "Little Jiu, what are you talking about? I just didn't sit still just now." He Xinjiu smiled indifferently. Then she stirred her bowl of soup with a spoon and took a deep breath. "This soup smells so good," the old princess said with a smile. "Is it that good? Let me try it." The old princess scooped a spoonful of soup with a spoon and was ready to put it into her mouth. Jingshi had no choice but to lean to the side again. Not only did she knock off the spoon in the old princess' hand, but she also knocked the 2 bowls of soup onto the ground. Granny Sun quickly went forward and helped Jingshi up. Hey, Shinjio said casually, "First aunt, didn't I tell you to be careful just now? Why did you fall again? Is there something wrong with your body? You'd better go back and see the imperial physician." The old princess also echoed, "Yes, sir. I see that you don't look well today. It's better to go back and see the imperial physician quickly." Jingshi gritted her teeth and said with a stiff face, "Mother, I think this pork ribs and winter melon soup is not bad. I brought it back to drink." Jingshi put the bowl of soup into her storage ring as she spoke. She was too ashamed to look at the old princess' expression and hurriedly walked out. Before Jingshi walked out, she heard He Xinjia's smiling voice. "Grandmother, I told you that I was smart. I was afraid that the soup was too good to drink, so when I came here I went to the big kitchen. I received the bowl from the back of the big kitchen. I also have a bowl of Xihua flower color here. Since that bowl was taken away by first aunt, let's drink this bowl." Jingshi's head was buzzing. No wonder this bitch came later than her. It turned out that she went to the big kitchen and got another bowl of soup. Didn't that mean that the bowl on the table was poisonous? Jingshi hurriedly turned around and saw the old princess picking up the spoon and was about to put a spoonful of soup into her mouth. She was so scared that she didn't care and directly slapped the old princess' wrist. The old consort dodged slightly. Although she was fine, the spoon in her hand was swept to the ground by the wind. The old consort immediately flew into a rage. "Jingshi, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill me?" Jingshi's mind was blank now. Suddenly, a plan came to her mind and she knelt down on the ground with a plop. "Mother, there's poison in that soup." The old princess had already guessed it. She asked with a gloomy face, "What do you mean? Is little Jio going to poison me to death?" Hei Shinjio looked innocent and aggrieved. "What? You can't say that. Why would I poison grandmother to death?" PN0V1 calm Jingshi gritted her teeth. "Mother, little Jio didn't poison her. It was her maid Xihua. Xihua, that lowly servant, was ordered by someone to poison little Jio. Coincidentally, my maid Hong Yuan saw her poisoning and came to report to me. I also heard that little Nine gave you the soup, so I rushed over to stop her." The old princess slammed the table. "This is outrageous. If that's the case, why didn't you say it out loud? Why did you stop us from drinking the soup in secret?" Pa and Dan 0v1. C0M Jingshi revealed a worried expression. "Mother, little Jio has just returned. I was afraid of scaring her. So I planned to capture Xihua in secret and interrogate her, so as to avoid alerting the snake and letting the mastermind get away scot-free." Yun Chujio revealed an incredulous expression. "And is what you said true? Is this bowl of soup really poisonous? Or was it used by Xihua?" Jingshi nodded. "This is all Aunt's fault. Xihua was sent by Aunt to you. I didn't expect that lowly servant to be so audacious as to poison you." Yun Chujio revealed an injured expression and kept shaking her head. "I don't believe it. Xihua usually does her best for me. How could she poison me? Someone must have wronged her." Little Jio, first aunt's maid Hong Yuan, saw it with her own eyes. "If you don't believe it, first aunt will get someone to call Hong Yuan and Xihua over. We will know after the trial." Jingshi despised her in her heart. This bitch was really stupid. She actually believed that bitch Xihua at this point in time. Yun Chujio sat on the chair looking as if she had suffered a great blow. Then she said, "All right, then well, do as aunt said and call them all over. I want to ask Xihua why she wanted to harm me when I've treated her so well." The old imperial consort nodded at Jingshi, indicating that they should do as Yun Chujio said. The old imperial consort patted He Xinjia's hand. "Little Jio AI, you're not young anymore. There are some matters in the rear residence that you should learn from. This time it's just a lesson to remember." The old imperial consort felt a little bitter in her heart. Little Jio's heart was pure and kind. She had probably never seen such shady and private matters in the rear residence. It was inevitable that she could not accept it for the time being. However, who was the one who instructed Xihua? Third, fourth, or fifth? The old imperial consort did not suspect that it was Jingshi. After all, Zheng Shi took the initiative to say that there was poison in the soup. This was also where Zheng Shi was proud of herself. When the time came, she would hint 11 Hua to bite the he Shi of the third wife. Although she did not poison Yun Chuju this time, she would at least cause trouble for the he Shi. This would prevent that bitch from thinking that her family was the Prince of Ping's residence and not putting her in her eyes. Very soon Shi Hua and Hong Yuan were brought over. Yun Chujia's voice trembled as she said, "Shi Hua, I have always been kind to you. Why did you poison the soup? Who exactly instructed you?" The old imperial consort patted Yun Chujia's back and then shouted sternly, "Lowly servant, tell me, who exactly instructed you to poison little Jiu to death?" Shi Hua kept kowtowing and said in grief and indignation, "Old imperial consort, ninth young miss, this servant really did not poison you. Even if this servant was given 100 guts, this servant would not dare to poison ninth young miss." Zheng Shi coldly snorted from the side, "You might not dare to harm little Jiu, but the master behind you would dare. Tell me, who was the one who instructed you?" Zheng Shi's back faced the old consort as she inconspicuously stretched out 3 fingers. She felt that Shi Hua would definitely understand her intentions. Shi Hua's heart was filled with monstrous hatred. If she were to climb up and bite the he Shi would not be able to do anything to the Zheng Shi. However, her family would definitely be killed by the he Shi to vent their anger. The Zheng Shi was truly too vicious. Shi Hua suppressed the hatred in her heart and could not help but kowtow to defend herself. "Old princess consort, ninth miss, this servant was really wronged. This servant really did not poison you." Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. "Grandmother, I don't think Shi Hua is lying. Perhaps she really did not poison you. Maybe that Hong Yuan was mistaken." Hong Yuan immediately said, "Ninth miss, it can't be wrong. I saw her sprinkle the medicinal powder into the soup with my own eyes." Shi Hua glared at Hong Yuan angrily. "Since you said you saw me sprinkle the medicinal powder in the soup with your own eyes, then what soup did I get this afternoon?" Hong Yuan looked at Shi Hua with disdain. "I saw it clearly. It was a bowl of winter melon rib soup." "Are you sure that I got the winter melon rib soup?" "Of course I'm sure. I saw it with my own eyes. How could I be wrong?" Hong Yuan said with certainty. Granny's son had already told her that it was winter melon rib soup, so it was naturally not wrong. Shi Hua sneered, then she looked at Yun Chujiu. "Miss Jiu, you heard everything, right? This Hong Yuan is simply full of nonsense. I had given you bamboo sun chicken soup in the afternoon, but she said that I had winter melon pork ribs soup. She's clearly framing me." Zheng Shi almost laughed out loud. Could it be that Shi Hua was trying to act more convincing? So she said that on purpose? Seeing that she was putting in so much effort, she could be rewarded with a good coffin. The old consort was about to speak when Yun Chujiu said with sparkling eyes, "Ha! I knew Shi Hua wouldn't betray me. And it seems like there's something wrong with that red couple of yours." Zheng Shi was dumbfounded. "Little Jiu, are you confused? Didn't Shi Hua bring you winter melon rib soup?" The old princess looked at Yun Chujiu in confusion. The old princess naturally saw that Yun Chujiu still had something to say, so she asked, "Little Jiu, do you still have something to say?" Yun Chujiu bit her lips and put on a very troubled expression. "Grandmother, I don't dare to say it. I'm afraid you'll be angry." "Sayu child, just say it. I won't blame you." Then I will really say it. You really won't be angry?" Hei Xinjiu said timidly. "I won't be angry, just say it." The old consort saw Yun Chujiu trembling as if she was treading on thin ice, and her heart ached even more. I want to go and see her. Since Aunt has poisoned me, I'm worried that Aunt will also poison her. So I want to go and see her. Grandmother, don't be angry. I really only went to see if she was safe and sound." After saying that, Yun Chujiu nervously tugged at the corner of her clothes, not even daring to raise her head. The old imperial consort's expression was a little gloomy. After a long while she said, "Little Jiu, grandmother will tell you the truth. As long as you don't do anything outrageous, you will always be the daughter of the Yun family. But the Yi family, she has made a big mistake. She will never be able to enter the Yun family again. Grandmother, I know. I don't want her to return to the Yun mansion. I just want to see if she is safe. After all, she gave birth to me. Moreover, she had been looking for me for several years. If I don't see her safe and sound with my own eyes, I will always feel empty in my heart. Yun Chujio deliberately said Sheik and not my mother. It was to prove to the old princess that she intended to draw a clear line between her and Yi Lan. The old consort was silent for a long time, then she said, "All right, I'll get Ji Mama to accompany you. Ji Mama is proficient in medicine. He can help you see if he is poisoned. After you see her, come back immediately. Don't delay, understand?" Yun Chujio threw herself into the old consort's arms and cried bitterly, "Grandmother, my good grandmother, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise little Ju really doesn't know how to live." Sabibi, the old consort's eyes were also red from Zinjia's crying. She patted her back and said, all right. I'll look for an opportunity to strike Xingshi. She won't dare to cause any more trouble for the time being." Yun Chujio acted coquettishly for a while more before she left the old consort's courtyard with Shi Hua and Shi Shui. After Yun Chujio returned to the courtyard, she hummed a little tune. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. The reason why she took such a roundabout way to expose Xingshi was to make the old imperial consort feel guilty. That was why she dared to bring up the idea of meeting Yi Lan. As long as she met her mother, she did not care about any orders. Shi Hua and Shi Shui were confused. Sending soup to third madam? What did she mean? Yun Chujio asked Shi Shui to stay behind to look after the courtyard. She brought Shi Hua out of the courtyard. As the old prince was still around, the Yun family did not split up. They all lived in King Yun's mansion. However, each room was separated by a corner gate. There were people guarding each room to prevent some things from being unclear. Yun Chujio had just arrived at the corner door of the third room when a servant went to report to third Madam He Shi. He Shi frowned. What was this little Jew doing here? Although she was puzzled since she was already here, she naturally could not refuse the door. She got someone to invite Yun Chujio in. P&D N0V1. Calm. After He Xinjiu bowed obediently, she said a few polite words and changed the topic. Third aunt, I'm here to deliver soup for you. He sure was confused. Bring soup? What soup? Yun Chujio brought out a bowl of chicken soup with winter melon ribs. She smiled and said, Third aunt, I originally wanted to bring you a bowl of chicken soup with bamboo sun. But first aunt said that there was something wrong with the bamboo sun inside, so I had no choice but to bring this bowl to you. He sure subconsciously asked, What's wrong with the bamboo sun? Yun Chujio suddenly covered her mouth as if she felt that she had said too much. She said in a fluster, No, there's no problem. I was just spouting nonsense. He sure naturally would not believe her. Her face darkened slightly. Little Gio, you know how third aunt usually treats you. Is it okay for you to lie to third aunt like this? A conflicted expression appeared on Yun Chujio's face. He looked around. He sure understood and ordered the servants to leave, leaving behind only a trustworthy nanny Zhou. Third aunt, I actually am also quite conflicted in my heart. I don't know if I should tell you, but if I don't, I still feel that I've let you down. However, if I tell you, please don't say that I told you. Yun Chujio tugged at the corner of her clothes and said uneasily. When he sure saw this, she became even more curious. Little Gio, just say it. Third aunt will definitely not betray you. Third aunt, the matter is like this. I felt that the soup today was not bad, so I brought a bowl for grandmother. I didn't expect that first aunt would rush over in a hurry and spill the soup I brought over. In the end, she even said that my maid Shi Hua had poisoned it. This originally had nothing to do with you, third aunt, but when first aunt interrogated Shi Hua about the mastermind behind the curtain, she pointed 3 fingers at Shi Hua with her back facing us. Although later on it was proven that all of this was framed by eldest aunt's maid Hong Yuan, I still feel that it's necessary to come and inform third aunt. After all, Hong Yuan has yet to reveal the mastermind behind the curtain of flowers. He sure was not a fool. She naturally understood Jing Shi's intention of gestured 3 fingers. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Jing Shi, this bitch. It was one thing for her to put on the airs of a princess in front of her, but she actually wanted to frame her. She really deserved to die. Yun Chujio glanced at the hatred on the He-Sher's face and felt quite pleased in her heart. The enemy of an enemy was a friend. She heard that Shi Hua and the He-Sher's combat strength could not be underestimated. It would be best if she could add some trouble to Jingshi. He-Sher calmed her emotions and then said, "Little Jiu, third aunt, thanks for your reminder. Third aunt owes you a favor this time. If you need my help in the future, just let me know." He-Sher naturally said this out of courtesy. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that Hei Xinjiu would show her white teeth. "Third aunt, I really do have something to ask for your help. Why do you think it's such a coincidence?" He-Sher, could she take back what she had just said? This was the first time she had seen such a smooth-sailing person. Although He-Sher's heart was filled with anger, she could only ask, "What is it that you need my help with?" "Third aunt, grandmother asked G-Mama to bring me to see my mother tomorrow. Although I don't know where my mother is being held, I estimate that she is still some distance away from An City. To be honest, I'm not too confident on this journey. I know that third aunt is very resourceful. Can you secretly send a team to protect me? Don't worry, I won't use it for nothing. I'll pay as much as I can. As you know, I'm all alone. I don't have anyone I can trust. Only third aunt can help me." Hei Xinjiu said pitifully. He-Sher was shocked and asked in disbelief, "Mother allowed you to see Ye-Sher?" "Yes, it wasn't easy for me to get this opportunity, so I don't want anything to go wrong. Third aunt, please help me. I've never seen my mother before. I woo-woo." As Hei Xinjiu spoke, she started to cry. She cried so much that she was heartbroken. As she cried, she pondered. He-Sher didn't address Yi Lan as second sister-in-law, but Yi Clan. It seemed that her mother's days in the Cloud King Manor back then were definitely not that good. He-Sher was somewhat dumbfounded by Hei Xinjiu's crying. It was not that her heart ached, but she was somewhat caught off guard. "Little Jiu, don't cry yet. It's not that this matter can't be resolved. However, because your mother was locked up in a special place, the people I sent can only escort you for a distance." Yun Chujio immediately stopped crying. Her eyes lit up. "A distance is fine too. Thank you, third aunt. It's not that I want to say this, but first aunt's petty temperament really can't compare to third aunt's grace and nobility. It would be great if third aunt were consort Yun." He-Sher jokingly scolded, "Don't spout nonsense. I'll arrange some manpower for you right now. You can rest assured." "Thank you, third aunt. What do you think of this fee?" "What fee? You've helped third aunt. It's only right for third aunt to help you once." He-Sher smiled and said. Yun Chujio was very shrewd. She instantly understood what He-Sher was implying. That was to repay her favor once and for all. In the future, don't come and be disliked by others. This fellow smiled and said, "Third aunt, our courtyard is close to each other. In the future, I will often come and pay my respects to you." Hei Xinjiu didn't wait for He-Sher's reply after she finished speaking and skipped away. He-Sher looked at Yun Chujio's back and then at the bowl of soup on the table. She was stunned for a moment before she said to Nanny Zhou behind her, "Go and find out what's going on." 2 hours later, Nanny Zhou told He-Sher what she found out. Basically, it was the same as what Yun Chujio said. He-Sher was so angry that she threw a teacup. Jingshi was really going too far. Let's wait and see. On one side, He-Sher was so angry that she stomped her feet. After Yun Chujio gave her instructions, she followed G-Mama out of the Yun mansion. Yun Chujio shot a glance at G-Mama, who had brought 20 guards with her. G-Mama was thinking to herself, maybe more than half of these people are Jingshir's people. If they were really in danger, they would definitely run faster than me. Fortunately, I have a backup plan. After the group left An City, G-Mama summoned her flying spirit tool, and the group boarded the flying spirit tool and set off. Yun Chujio looked at the flying spirit tool. It seemed to be used by the old princess and it was quite comfortable. G-Mama, how much does such a flying spirit tool cost? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and asked curiously. 50 million upper-grade spirit stones, G-Mama said with a smile. 50 million? That's not too expensive. I'll get a few of them some other day, Hei Xinjiu said while stroking her chin. The corner of G-Mama's eyes twitched. Not too expensive? You only have 10 million upper-grade spirit stones. How many of them can you buy? You're really shameless. Yun Chujio caught a glimpse of G-Mama's expression and then remembered that her poor girl character. She quickly added, "This is my goal. Maybe you'll be rich in the future. G-Mama, now that we have set off, you can tell me where my mother is locked up, right?" G-Mama paused for a moment and then said, "Madame Yi is locked up in the nunnery of the Yun family. But don't worry, Miss Jiu. You won't have to worry about food and clothing there. Madame Yi is fine." Yun Chujia's small face suddenly darkened. No matter how deep her thoughts were, she couldn't hide the anger in her heart when she heard that her mother was locked up in the nunnery. This was too much. What mistake did her mother make to lock her mother up in the nunnery of the Yun family? What nunnery? To put it bluntly, wasn't it just a nunnery? How could she force her mother to become a monk out of nowhere? She was so shameless. Seeing Yun Chujia's gloomy face, G-Mama was shocked. Miss Jio's spiritual power was low, but her imposing manner at the moment made people feel a little scared. Yun Chujio felt like her heart was turning upside down. She suppressed the anger in her heart. No matter what, it was a serious matter to see her mother first. She was not afraid to settle the score. "Let's wait and see." Yun Chujio eased her expression and asked, "G-Mama, why was my mother locked in the nunnery?" G-Mama's expression changed. "Ninth Miss, the old princess has ordered that no one is allowed to discuss this matter. You better not ask." Yun Chujio knew that if G-Mama did not want to tell, she would not tell no matter how much she asked. Anyway, she would be able to see Yi very soon. When the time came, she could just ask her. A day later, the flying spirit tool landed on the ground. Not far away was a dense forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. "Miss Jo, the area ahead belongs to the floating cloud mountain. There's no way for the flying spirit tool to enter. We can only walk there." Yun Chujio nodded and walked into the dense forest under the escort of everyone. After walking for another half a day, Yun Chujio discovered that there was no more road ahead. Just as she was feeling puzzled, she saw G-Mama take out a jade token. After she formed a seal, a barrier-like entrance appeared in front of her. P&D N0V1. Calm, Yun Chujio thought to herself. No wonder he sure said that her people could only escort her for a short distance. It turned out that it was because there was a barrier in front of them. It was just a nunnery. Was there a need to go through so much trouble? Yun Chujio followed G-Mama into the barrier. Her vision suddenly became clear. She discovered that they were standing at the foot of a mountain. The things in front of them were next to each other. Were they graves? While Yun Chujio was in a daze, G-Mama and the others knelt on the ground. Yun Chujio was dragged by G-Mama and knelt on the ground as well. Yun Chujio was baffled. What was wrong with her? "Miss Jo, those in front are the graves of the ancestors of the Yun family. Hurry up and kneel," G-Mama said with a serious expression. Yun Chujio suddenly realized that it was no wonder that a formation had been set up mysteriously. So this was the ancestral grave of the Yun family? This guy followed her and bowed a few times. To be honest, this guy didn't really feel a sense of belonging to the Yun family, so he had no feelings for the ancestors of the Yun family. Not far from the ancestral grave of the Yun family, there was a tall mountain peak that reached into the clouds. According to G-Mama, that was the floating cloud mountain, and the Yun family nunnery was located halfway up the mountain. As soon as they arrived at the gate of the nunnery along the stone steps, they heard an angry man shout from the courtyard, "Are all of you dead? How did Yilan escape?" Yun Chujio craned her neck to take a look. Wasn't this the Duke of Yun Fengjian? Why was he here? Had her mother escaped? G-Mama's expression changed when she saw the Duke of Yun. Just as she was about to say something, the Duke of Yun turned his head and saw Yun Chujio and the others. King Yun stared at Yun Chujio with a malicious gaze and then said coldly, "Who told you to come here? Is this where you should be?" The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. "Eldest uncle, I should be asking you this. This is the Yun family's nunnery. Why is eldest uncle here? Even if it's to offer sacrifices to the ancestors, you can't come here, right?" Seeing King Yun's gloomy expression, G-Mama hurriedly said, "King, the old princess sent a servant to accompany Miss Jo to visit Madame Yi." Hearing that, King Yun's face softened a little and he said gloomily, "Yilan escaped, and it is said that he left with a wild man. Such an unscrupulous and shameless slut really deserves to be killed." Yun Chujio's face suddenly turned cold. "First uncle, before the matter is clarified, please mind your words. There is not only a formation here but also so many people. How did the so-called wild man get in?" Don't tell me that someone is trying to frame my mother, lock her up or kill her and then charge her with a crime? Hearing Yoon Chujia's words, Duke Yoon's expression became even uglier. He turned around to look at the people in the Yoon family's nunnery hall. Tell me what is going on. If anyone is lying, I will kill her. Many nuns were kneeling on the ground. One of the nuns with triangular eyes said, Prince, even if you lend us 10,000 guts, we wouldn't dare to lie to you. Sanjayan said. That bitch Elon has been sick recently. She didn't do the work assigned to her and even threatened us with suicide. We could only let her slack off. However, unexpectedly last night a wild man came out of nowhere and rushed out with that bitch in his arms. We had no way to stop him. Before Duke Yoon could say anything, Yoon Chujio jumped over and kicked the nun with Sanjayan. Fuck you. You're the bitch. You're the one with the wild man. Yoon Chujio was filled with anger. She could tell from the nun's words that Yilon had been bullied by these people many times. She was furious. Yoon Chujio grabbed the neck of the triangular-eyed nun. Tell me the truth. Where's my mother? If you dare to lie, I will strangle you to death. Sanjaoyan's voice was filled with anger. Sanjaoyan rolled her eyes. She thought that King Yoon would stop her, but he did not say anything. When Sanjaoyan thought that she would be strangled to death, Yoon Chujio let go of her hand. She said coldly, strangling you to death is too easy for you. I'm going to cut off your flesh piece by piece and then sprinkle some chili on it. Don't you think it's interesting? Before the nun could answer, Yoon Chujio had already cut Sanjaoyan's face with a large kitchen knife. Sanjaoyan immediately cried out, I said, spare me. Yoon Chujio placed the knife on Sanjaoyan's neck and said coldly, what's going on? Where's my mother? Yilon and Yilon were locked in the cellar by us. Pand DN0V1, who told you to lie about my mother eloping with someone? Tell me. Yoon Chujio wished she could kill the nun immediately, but she had to endure it for the time being in order to find out the truth. The nun shot a glance at King Yoon. She seemed to want to say something, but she hesitated. Yoon Chujio gently cut the knife in Sanjaoyan's hand, and the nun quickly said, yes, it was the princess who sent us a message and asked us to do this. Yoon Chujio asked slowly, do all the people in the nunnery know about this? The nun with triangular eyes was afraid that Yoon Chujio would really kill her, so she asked Yoon Chujio, Sanjaoyan, do you know about this? She said hurriedly, we all know. We all know that the princess has given us a lot of benefits and asked us to mistreat the Yi family. We were forced to do so. Otherwise, the princess wouldn't forgive us. Yoon Chujio's face was as cold as ice. She let go of the nun with triangular eyes and said, where is the cellar? Take me there. Sanjaoyan glanced at Duke Yoon and was so frightened by the murderous look in his eyes that she almost fell to the ground. She quickly led the group to the main hall of the nunnery hall. After removing the Buddha statue, a cellar entrance was revealed. The group walked down the stairs. It was cold and damp in the cellar. Yoon Chujio was full of hatred. Good, very good. How could she treat her mother like this? None of them could live. Under the dim candlelight in the cellar, Yoon Chujio saw a bed leaning against the wall. There was no bedding on it, only some straw. A woman was curled up on the bed with her back facing the crowd. Yoon Chujio's heart was full of bitterness and anger. She quickly walked over and said in a trembling voice, Mother, I'm late. Mother, I'm here to save you. Seeing that the person on the bed had no reaction, Yoon Chujio's hands trembled as she went to help the woman up. Her hands felt ice cold. Yoon Chujio's head buzzed. Could it be that her mother was already dead? Yoon Chujio bit her lips and helped the woman up. However, when she saw the woman's appearance, she was stunned. She had seen Yi Lan's portrait at Lin Yang's place. This dead woman was not Yi Lan at all. What was going on? Duke Yoon had obviously also realized that something was amiss. He kicked Sanjaoyan's body. This is not Yi Lan at all. Where exactly is Yi Lan locked up by you? If you don't tell me the truth, I will kill all of your family members. Sanjaoyan and the other nuns quickly knelt on the ground. Duke, please spare my life. Duke, please spare my life. We really locked Yi Lan up here. I just don't know how did it become a meditation? King Yoon asked the other nuns and they all said the same thing. They had indeed locked Yi Lan up in the cellar the day before yesterday, but they did not know how they became this meditation nun. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.